What? Why the heck do I have the missing mod stuff? Mod, what the heck? I'm in my room right now. I got my scenes, and now they've all been replaced by missing mod scene. Sabotage is what I call that. You know, somebody that's a little bit more forgiving might say, oh, that was just an honest mistake. And, or, oh, you just accidentally went into Mod's StreamYard instead of your StreamYard, Aiden. But that's not true. That's not true. I'm telling you, I'm in Aiden's shady hangout spot right now. There's two rooms. There's two rooms. There's Mod's office and Aiden's shady hangout spot. And for some reason, I've got Mod scenes in here. Mod, you can't switch it? You think I know how to? You think I know how to, Mod? Come on. You think I know how to do that? You think you've already told me that at some point in private and then immediately just revert back to not knowing about it in my mind? Let me come in and see. Technical support with missing Mod. I don't know. I never changed anything in the main scene. I never changed it. So let's see. I need to find. You know what? I'm going to do my own intro instead. I'm going to do my own intro. This is entirely impromptu. Everybody that's in there right now, the 8 people that are watching right now, just pretend like the last 2 minutes hasn't even happened, okay? Just pretend like it's not even a thing. We're going to take this from the top, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to take this from the top. Hey, people! How's it going? You've tuned in to the one and the only, the Aiden Linden live stream, where truth combats evil. I'm asking every single one of you out there in the audience right now to dig deep, look within your heart, and find the means of liking the stream. Only then can we do proper combat against these evildoers. I know every single one of you out there right now are going through struggles. You're going through trials. You're going through tribulation. But I am here to tell you that while you might be feeling low, when you feel like things are getting low, you gotta lift it back up, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. You have got to have the stream spirit fill your body. No, how's it going, everybody? That was quite the transition, wasn't it? That was literally the equivalent of like going 87 miles an hour down the road and then just hitting a light pole. Just instant halt in what was going on there. That's what you got to do, though, as an actor. Right? You gotta be able to lift things up. You gotta get up high and really get people energized. And then you just kind of shut it down at the very end unexpectedly. Your stuff is there. Sweet Mod. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I don't know why. I'm not even blaming you. I'm honestly just gonna blame StreamYard. It's probably just some stupid StreamYard chicanery that caused it to happen. But I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Aiden, you are an actor. I mean, I'll have you know, Phantom, I did not 1, but 2 years of middle school theater. All right, 2 years. So, I don't know, you know, step aside, Marlon Brando. Step aside, Martin Scorsese. Those are directors. What am I talking about? Anyways, step aside, freaking Al Pacino. There you go. There's one. I know what I'm talking about. I'm worldly. Can you see it before I go? Is it there? Yeah, it's there, Mod. I can see the outro. My grandpa's outro is waiting there, over there in the side chat. What the hell are you people doing here? There's 11 people watching me right now, and I'm not even talking about Lupin. I thought my whole channel was just all about him. I don't know. I guess these 11 people are just waiting for me to talk about Lupin. Mod did terrible things in Florida too. That is true. That is true. But Daniel Day-Lewis, yeah. Yeah, there you go. Exactly. I got to be honest with you. I got a little bit thrown off kilter. I had what was probably my most prepared show ever. And then, you know what? You know whose fault it is that things ended up getting thrown off? It's mine. Because I've been sitting here backstage the whole time. It's not like my dumb ass couldn't have glanced over to the left and seen, oh shit, that shit wasn't ready yet on the stage yet. Probably should get that ready. Freaking Dorcas. You're right. You absolutely are. But I'm a lovable Dorcas. At least lovable enough for you people to hate watch me. Hey, Reexamined. Welcome to the side chat. Proverbs Guys Ministries. Pixie. Missing Mod. All of you guys out there in the side chat. Hope all of you are doing good today. I've got probably the most pre-show segments lined up right now compared to any other show. All right? I had time today, ladies and gentlemen. Most of the time, I got to be honest with you, the behind the scenes of 95% of these streams has basically consisted of, oh shit, it's half an hour before I go live. Compile this, put this over here, put this link over here, put that link there. And it seems to have worked out semi all right. But I've actually got lots of stuff lined up for today. So let's start getting into it. Can Aiden even be Canadian? Says Phantom X11. You know what? For how much I talk about America, you might not think that I am, Phantom. And that's a fair criticism. I'd just like to say to everybody that's out there, though, everybody out there in the side chat, everybody out there just lurking, watching the stream, I got to repeat myself just really quickly. I see it within you. You got to get the likes on this live stream up, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go look at this live stream right now and see how many likes are on it. I've got 9 likes on this live stream. That is unacceptable. It is not until I get 10 likes on the live stream that I will continue this here live stream. That's right. Oh. Nope. Still 9. Still 9. I can't believe it. Cannot believe it. You know what? If you people were smart, you'd be actively going and unliking the stream. That's how you revolt against this. That's how you fuck this. This guy's gonna try to hold the stream hostage. He hasn't even shown us any content, and he wants 10 likes. Fuck that bullshit. You know what? As a true revolutionary, I say you go and unlike. No, please don't go unlike the stream. Don't do that. I would appreciate it if you did not do that. Alrighty, we got 10 likes. It is not 9. Refresh. The grifting is real. Hey, that's why I put the Southern Baptist thing on, Dustin, because the grifting is real indeed, my friend. The whole 9 likes. That's right. That's right. I'm gonna get a revolt one day, though. I'm gonna say, hey, everybody, like the stream if you enjoy, and it's gonna go from like 5 likes to 2 likes, and I'm gonna be like, fuck. The day has arrived. The Aiden Hussein statue is about to be toppled in the town square and dragged away. Lupin and his multiple accounts, 10 of their watchers. You know, if that's the case, then I'll still thank him for doing the watch time. I'll still thank him. I don't know what he's doing with 10 accounts over here when I'm not even talking about him, but hey, I'll appreciate it. Holy shit. We've got 15 congregants right now over here watching the stream. Thank you very much to everybody that's tuning in to the Aiden Linden Ministry. I'm going to put on my first little bit of content. I'm sure everybody that's a regular watcher of the channel is familiar with this first segment. We're going to get into Dustin's favorite, that being Trump without Trump. Take it away.
It's Trump without Trump. You won't have to listen to his voice or see his face. This quote is unedited and 100% accurate. This is from a White House press conference on January 20th, 2026. These are the words of the President of the United States of America. You know, we used to have, when I was growing up, we had in my area in Queens. I grew up in Queens. We had a place called Creedmoor. Creedmoor. Did anybody know that Creedmoor was a big... I said, Mom, why are those bars on the building? I used to play Little League baseball there. The place called Cunningham Park, who's quite the baseball player you wouldn't believe. But I said to my mother, Mom, she would be there, always there for me. She said, son, you could be a professional baseball player. I said, thanks, Mom. I said, why are those bars on the windows? Big building, big, powerful building. It loomed over the park, actually. She said, well, people that are very sick are in that building. I said, boy, I used to always look at that building and I'd see this big building, big, tall building. It loomed over the park. It was sort of now that I think it was a pretty unfriendly sight, but I'll never forget. I don't know if it's still there because they got rid of most of them. You know, the Democrats in New York, they took them down. And the people live on the streets now. And that's why you have a lot of people in California and other places. They live on the streets. They took the mental institutions down. They're expensive, but I'd say, why does that building have those bars, boy? It didn't. It wasn't normal. You know, you used to look at like a window, but this, when you look at
Oh shit, it's getting dark.
Steel, vicious steel, tiny windows, bars all over the place. Nobody was getting out. It's called a mental institution. That was an insane asylum. Donald J. Trump.
Tell me, just everybody out there right now in the side chat right now, right? I want each and every single one of you to tell me how that story that you just heard from the most powerful man on the planet was anything different functionally than the dementia-addled story you'd hear from your peepaw when he's talking about the time that he got on the ferry in order to go and get on the Ferris wheel over at the local fair and how much cheaper it was back up. Like, there's so many anecdotes there that just go into nothing whatsoever. They just ramble off. Read the Iran nuclear speech. You know what, Pixie? I'm sure we'll get to it. Unfortunately, for as easy as it is to just get all of that stuff out there right from the get-go, I think ultimately it's better that we kind of pace things, right? We take things one little bit at a time. And that's what Trump without Trump is going to be. We're going to limit. We're going to tamp down and make sure that we don't expose ourselves to too much all at once. Dustin can barely handle one segment, Pixie. He can barely handle one segment. He's literally holding on for dear life in the side chat. I think what Raiden is really upset about is that we have a dementia patient we have a dementia patient and they have a dementia patient, and we still prefer our dementia patient to his. No, you know what, Dustin? The thing that I'm really upset about is the fact that you'll endlessly call Biden my dementia patient or act like I'm a Biden supporter, no matter how many times I'll say to your face that I'm not a Democrat and I've never supported the Democratic Party and I've never had any of their ideals as far as their party line in my mind as far as, oh, we need to support the Democrat. Go find me. I invite you and everybody else out there in the side chat, including all the haters out there that are watching, right? All of you can go out there and find a clip of me going rah, rah for the Democratic Party, acting like the Democrats are people that we should cheerlead for. Me and AJ did a video back in the day about the Trump debate during the Trump president, well, during the campaign for 2024, I should say, and 2023. And when you go back and look at that coverage that me and AJ did, I was super fucking critical of the Democratic Party back at that point, before it was even known whether Trump would get a second term or not. I was super critical of the Democratic Party and calling out the fact that the Democratic Party was shifting to the right and how a whole bunch of their policies were shifting to the right thanks to the Overton window in the United States shifting over to the right, right? So that's not true at all. Vote independent. I would agree with that a lot more than voting Democrat, Stephen. Truth be told. I feel like even though the whole notion is that if you vote third party, you're throwing your vote away. Like, isn't that cyclical reasoning? Of course, if everybody believes that you throw your vote away by voting third party, nobody's ever going to vote third party. But the truth of the matter is that the people that founded this country, including George Washington, were terrified of the idea of a two-party system dominating American politics. He was terrified of a two-party system domineering American politics for the exact reasons that we're seeing it happen today, where all of these issues that are happening around us immediately get politicized, and they immediately get put into this right-left paradigm, rather than any kind of objective evaluation of the things that are taking place around us. We always have to put them in partisan terms. It was things like that he was warning us against. And here we are, 2.5 centuries later, having learned nothing from that whatsoever. Shameful is what it really is, because the idea that there should only be two parties, this red versus blue paradigm that's overtaken American politics, is such bullshit. The fact that you really don't have effective choice on so many issues, Israel being one of them, by the way. I know that people like Lupin may act like it's anti-Semitic to criticize Israel, but Israel being, a secular apartheid state, I think it's pretty easy to say that the American voter doesn't really have an effective choice between the Republicans and Democrats on whether or not Israel is going to get supported, on whether or not Israel is going to receive shitloads of American funding because it's an imperialist vassal state in the Middle East that's propping up American interests in that region. And that's the only reason, by the way, that it's being held up, not because it's a quote-unquote democracy. If America was really so focused on propping up democracies and promoting democratic rule, then why is America buddy-buddy with one of the few absolute monarchies still around in the world today, that being the Saudi royal family? They've literally, from the Saudi royal family's takeover of the Arab Peninsula, or large parts of it, in the 1940s, America has been backing the House of Saud the entire time. But yeah, they're so worried about propping up democracy and keeping people under democratic systems, which is why when Iraq and Afghanistan turned into fucking shitholes, and still are to this day, by the way, America just ended up leaving them behind and leaving a shitload of stuff behind. By the way, I found that very amusing. I was hearing people like Dan over on the Proverbs guys the other day criticizing the fact that Biden left a shitload of equipment behind in in Afghanistan. And now the Taliban has access to all this advanced equipment, and what a horrible thing that Biden did. And I agree, it's shitty and awful that America would leave all of this military infrastructure just laying around. But do you know why they do that? It's not because of the Democratic or Republican Party. You need only watch the Nicolas Cage movie Lord of War to understand why America leaves those resources behind. It's because it's literally cheaper to leave all of that shit behind than it is to bring it all back. If America brought all those resources back, then the taxpayer would have had to have paid a lot more money. So all that humanitarian concern for the people of Iraq and the people of Afghanistan and Operation American Freedom, all of that fucking flew out the window the second that it became fucking financially unviable to fucking bring all that equipment back. Make no mistake. Do you think America didn't leave a shitload of equipment behind in the aftermath of the Gulf War? Do you think that a whole bunch of people weren't getting shot at by American munitions from the Gulf War when America went back to Iraq? Do you think there isn't loads of documented evidence of that occurring? And guess what administration oversaw the fucking Gulf War? Because it wasn't a Democratic administration last I checked. It wasn't a Democratic administration that brought America into conflict with Iraq in 2002 and 2003 either. The shock and awe campaigns that people observed, the fire bombings of all these different cities. I shouldn't say fire bombings. That's a bit of an overblowing of it, but that's certainly analogous in terms of what America was trying to accomplish in terms of its objective. Because the fire bombings that occurred during conflicts like Vietnam and the Second World War were for the same objective. They were shock and awe, right? They were there to try and convince the enemy that America had such overwhelming force that there was no point in resisting American occupation of these areas. And look at how well that ended up turning out for them. They ended up keeping their dicks in that beehive, that fucking quagmire, for the next decade and a half. It was a fucking disaster. And I love, by the way, the idea that, oh, Biden left all these things behind in Afghanistan. Wasn't Trump the one that was promising that he was going to pull them out? Which, by the way, make no mistake, he wasn't the only one to promise that. Obama did the same thing. Obama was going around going, and let me be clear. America is going to pull out of these horrible conflicts that is occurring in the Middle East. You know, like he would be saying shit like that all the fucking time, and it never materialized. So that's not really a criticism of one specific administration or another. That's a broader American policy that's taking place right there. And that's a policy of foreign occupation and imperialism. There's no two ways around it. America is a multinational empire. And with recent conflicts like Venezuela, it's only shown itself to assert itself more and more overtly into these different areas that do not want themselves to be occupied by American control, which really don't have any inherent right to be occupied by America. But really, it's the exact same logic that's used for every single other empire throughout human history. It's the exact same logic that was used for the Mongol Empire or the Roman Empire or the Third Reich, right? It's always might makes right. Oh, maybe I don't have a right to be here on this continent, legally speaking. Maybe I don't have a right to be bombing all these drug boats. Maybe I don't have a right to be kidnapping the president of another country and extraditing him without any trial whatsoever to my country. Maybe I don't have the right to do those things in international law, but fuck you. What are you going to do about it? It's really the current reason why America is the current global hegemon. It's not for any moral reason. It's not because America is inherently better than any of these other countries. America's better for my country. I'm not going to deny that. We get a shitload of trade from America, and they trade a shitload with us. We're very dependent on American goods, and they're also really dependent on ours as well. So for me to say that America is keeping itself alive on these principles isn't me just saying America is inherently evil. I think America is no more or no less evil than any of these other hegemonic empires that have existed throughout history. It propagates itself based on power, and it propagates itself based on self-interest, and it is inherently propped up on a system of hypocrisy that is easily observed if one only take a glancing look at its history. That's the case for every single other major empire throughout human history, so America's not special in that regard whatsoever. It can't be evil. It's a system. Systems absolutely can be evil, quote unquote. The final solution was a system, missing mod. The final solution was a system that was implemented by the Third Reich, where people were systemically rounded up into camps and systemically exterminated en masse. That was a system, right? Calls Wambulance. Yeah. I'm such a crybaby for bringing up the fact that systems have existed throughout human history that have taken advantage and exploited people. Give me a break, missing mod. Like, come on. All I'm pointing out is that the idea that a system can't be quote-unquote evil is kind of silly. Because there's shitloads of... Apartheid is a system. The idea that somebody ought be denied entrance to a certain establishment based on their race or based on their gender, the idea that people ought be denied the right to vote based on their race or gender, those are all systems. There's plenty of systems throughout human history that are shitty and horrible. Do you think the caste system in India is a good system? Look into it right now, missing mod. Look up the caste system. C-A-S-T-E. Caste. Look up the caste system in India. Sometimes it's pronounced caste. I call it caste because if it was caste, it would be C-A-S-T, for fuck's sake. But yeah, the caste system in India is inherently a system. It's in the fucking name. And that's a deplorable system. Right? Sharia law. That's a system. Right? I'm pretty sure I've heard you say that Sharia is evil on a few occasions. Maybe I'm wrong about that. You can tell me if I'm wrong about that. But I'm pretty damn sure I've heard you say that Sharia law is like evil and demonic. Those are systems. So the National Socialist German Workers' Party had a bad system. Agreed, Phantom. They had a fucking shitty system. A really shitty system. And you know what happened to them as a result? They got their shit pushed in. Think about what I'm saying. I am thinking about what you're saying. And I'm thinking that what you're saying isn't true, Missing Mod. Systems can be, through their very nature, awful. Systems can be inherently dehumanizing. Systems can be in place to make sure that a certain small segment of a society are propagated above the majority of people that otherwise would have been in that society, right? So there's plenty of systems that have existed throughout human history that are bad. Bad system makes sense. Why? Why? Because you haven't heard of anything better? Because you haven't heard of anything better or haven't read about anything better? I'm not saying you specifically necessarily. I'm saying that to most people that act like that. That act like, oh, this system is the very best. Well, have you really actually, and I'm saying this is a genuine question, not as anything demeaning, but have you really actually taken the time to look into all of these other societies? Have you really taken the time to look into all of these other ideas that have been expressed about how society ought to be organized and how government ought to be conducted? Have you really looked into all of the different autocrats and dictators and presidents and oligarchs that have inhabited our story as a species? Because I'm not acting like you need to literally look into every single one of them. What I'm really trying to say there is that the more that you take a look into those things, the more nuanced you'll find your approach to these sorts of topics are. Because that's really what history is. It's a shedding of light, and it's a nuanced look at our behavior as a species and what we as a species do when we're presented with specific circumstances. What systems do I need to activate to get you to change the subject? Well, I'll tell you what, Dustin. I'll bring up more Trump. I'm not going to bring up Trump without Trump, because I know you hate that. But I've got a very important breaking Donald Trump story that I need to share with everybody right here, right now. And that is that the sitting president of the United States of America shat his drawers in a press conference. And he shat them so loudly that the camera on the other side of the room, which I'm sure there were like lapel mics or something like that were able to fucking pick up some of the audio as well. But it was so audible that you can hear it clear as day. You don't even need audio enhancement techniques. So we're going to play that. And we're going to see just what I'm talking about right here, right now, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to put this on max volume. And I encourage you to do the same thing. Everybody that's listening to this right now, I would encourage you to put on a pair of headphones or earbuds or something like that. And you got to crank this bitch to max volume. All right? Because then you'll hear the full bouquet of the chart as it takes place in real time.
We really appreciate it a lot. Thank you, Oz. It's doing a fantastic job. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. Thank you, please. Thank you.
Mr. President, can you respond to the new Fox poll that says people think ICE's tactics are too aggressive?
Oh, I had it on too far in there. My bad.
Biden term is going to be a thing of the past, and I'm so proud to be part of
And
this.
fellas, some great things happening, right?
Yeah.
Marty, there's great, really great things happening, I hear. And some pretty big announcements over a short period of time, right?
Yep. Moving drugs over the counter so you don't need a prescription.
Yeah, right.
Naloxone, which treats opioid, is one of those drugs. And we're being proactive with synthetic 7-OH, a new opioid that's showing up. And we're working with the DOJ on addressing that because chemists are coming up with new opioids faster than the government has been able to keep up. We're going.
Real quick replay there.
Are coming up with new opioids faster than the government has been able to keep up. We're going.
And you know what? If anybody out there wants to try and deny that was a fart, at the very least, best case scenario, that was a wicked fart. But I don't believe it was a fart. Because they rush people out of that room. They rush people out of that room so quickly. And not only do they rush people out of the room, but look at the face of the blonde right behind him. Phantom, I've played it a couple of times now. I'm not trying to prank you. I really do encourage you. I really do. Turn this shit up to max volume. You'll hear it. You'll fucking hear it. Look at the blonde woman behind him and the face that she makes.
Chemists are coming up with new opioids faster than the government has been able to keep up. We're going proactive.
It's one of those things where, like, you have such a visceral reaction. That's what tells me that it was the worst thing ever. It was bare minimum the most nasty fart that's ever been ripped in human history. Because here's a woman that's been trained all her life to maintain a professional demeanor, especially when she's in the Oval Office, right? You've got to imagine that this woman's on the top of her fucking game right now. And it was so fetid and nasty and disgusting that she had to glance over there. And that's not even the full story. It's not even the full story. Because look at this. I'm going to go back one more time. Not even to hear the fart, but I want you to look at her the entire time, because there's the first glance she gives, and then there's the glance that she gives when she has to look at Trump when he starts talking again.
Coming up with new opioids faster than the government has been able to keep up. We're going proactive on these new chemicals.
That's great. No, I hear fantastic things.
Do you see the pucker of the lips? She's bracing herself. She is fucking bracing herself. She's like, oh no, I have to turn back over. My nose has to go back in that direction. Oh God. That is awful. It could have been someone behind the camera. No, Mod. I'm not going to accept that apologism. That is absolutely you trying to cover for the fucking president of the United States. Look at the woman behind him. She looks right at him after he rips it. I'll play it again.
Chemists are coming up with new opioids faster than the government has been able to keep up. We're going
An immediate reaction. It could have been the chick. Fuck off. Yeah, she glanced at Trump because she was trying to pass it off on the president. I'm sure that'd be great for her career. Oh, I'm just going to look over at Trump when that happens, so I'm going to put that on him. No. Trump is the one that's been basically proven beyond any shadow of a doubt to be basically going around wearing a fucking diaper all day long. All right? Dada Trump has got the fucking diaper on all fucking day long, and he just couldn't hold back in the middle of a press conference. And look at the reaction that the press gives.
Proactive on these new chemicals.
That's great. No, I hear fantastic things. Thank you all very much. We really appreciate it a lot. Thank you, Oz. He's doing a fantastic job. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. Thank you, please. Thank you.
Mr. President, can you respond to the new Fox poll that says people think ICE's tactics are too aggressive?
No questions at this time. No questions. The president of the United States just landed a whole bunch of shit up his back. He just blew out his back with a big load of liquidy shit. What fucking reality do we live in? What reality do we have to live in where Maude has to sit here at a panel and try and cover the president of the United States shitting himself on national television? I don't give a fuck how partisan you are. I don't give a fuck how right wing you are. You can't avoid it. You know what Ben Shapiro always says about how facts don't care about your feelings? Facts don't care about your feelings when it comes to the fact that Donald John Trump shat his drawers in front of the American people on national television. You know when there's one person on an elevator and you know who farted when there's two people? You still know when there's three people? Dustin. It was him. It was him, bro. Some guy shit himself. It's just weird. It's not some guy, Maude. I'll tell you what. This would be weird. I would agree. This level of coverage would be weird if this was just some guy off the street. If I just pulled up some fucking r/public freakout video and it was like, homeless guy shits himself in the street, then I think you wouldn't be sitting there going, well, maybe it was the person behind him that shat himself. Maybe it wasn't Trump what actually shat himself. And two, I'm pretty sure the homeless guy isn't the sitting president of the United States of America, right? I'm pretty sure that the homeless guy doesn't have a fucking briefcase next to him at all times that has the launch codes in it that allow him to immediately launch a fleet of ICBMs to go and fucking nuke half of the planet and turn it into a parking lot in the span of half an hour. I don't think that guy has that power. He's literally some guy to me. That's great. That's great if he's some guy to you, but I don't think that's the case. Because you constantly say that all we're trying to do is make him and the right look bad. Well, I don't have to make him look bad when he gets on national television and shits his drawers, do I? Instead, it could be you guys are crazy and want to hate. I don't want to hate! Is it really hate? Okay, Maude, is it really hatred to point out that the president of your country shat himself on national television? That's not hate. It's not hate. It's just a simple statement of fact that you love to harp about how good your government is and how great it is and how much it benefits people all the time. And here's the guy that runs all of it. Very minimum, you could say, runs the executive branch, but effectively runs the other two branches for how much power he's consolidated. And he's shitting himself as much as B.S. Lewis is with his timing coming in on the show. I mean, come on, BS. We're fucking almost 40 minutes into the show. And you show up now. Oh, when did Aiden get a show? I don't know, BS. When did you get clever comments? Because you're not showing them right now. Step up your game, BS. That's all I'm trying to say. Aiden, did you miss my comment? It was Rubio who dealt it contractually. Hold on. I'm going to go up. I read your fan. The Secretary of State is contractually obligated to have dealt it. Oh, shit. Damn. You know, it would be so fitting for Marco to have done. Little Marco. We have people like Little Marco here. You know, we may call him Little Marco, but he does real big shits in his pants. Let me tell you. The allegations that I shit in my drawers are not real. They're fake news. Ron's executive branch. All right, BS. You redeemed yourself. Oh, shit. That was good. I appreciate that. 13 likes. Thank you so much, everybody. If you're watching this and enjoying it, make sure to drop a like and make sure to drop a subscription as well. Aiden Linden 9661. It's just right down below. Drop a subscription and you can watch great content like this on a regular basis. That being said, I think we've pretty thoroughly covered the fact that the president of the United States shat himself on national television. It's pretty undeniable at this point, in spite of the couple fleeting attempts to make apologism for it. So let's go on to our next thing. You know, there's a lot of confusion right now about what happened with Alex Preddy versus what happened with Kyle Rittenhouse. You know, people like Karisu. And Claude actually got me onto this. Claude was talking about this on one of his recent shows. By the way, if any of you aren't subscribed to Claude Balls, go subscribe. Awesome channel. He's out there. I go and try and find a Claude comment over in the side chat so I can show you his channel. Here we go. Claude Balls. Go and subscribe. Awesome content. But he made me aware that Karisu did a stream talking about the comparison between Kyle Rittenhouse and what happened with him and Alex Preddy. And I could go through all of that and spend like another 20 minutes talking about it. But I figured for the sake of brevity, given the fact that I have so many different things coming up here, I would just show you the thing that I sent to Missing Mod, because I think it let me just belch in the middle of that statement. Excellent. I think that'll wrap things up in a nice, neat little bow for everybody to see.
All right, look, I'm not sure why you're all overcomplicating it. It's really quite simple. You can come to a protest, but not if you're bringing a gun, unless it's for protection, but not protection from people with guns. You can attack people holding skateboards for reacting to you holding a gun, but not the people holding guns reacting to you holding your phone. Because being underage shooting a gun you didn't legally purchase equals concerned citizen. But being an adult with a permit for a gun you've responsibly concealed equals domestic terrorist. Even if we only see it after we've already shoved you to the ground, which retroactively changes the reason we shoved you to the ground. Clearly, the teenager who shot people deserves a podcast, and the ICU nurse trying to help people avoid pepper spray is an agitator, because we have a zero tolerance policy for disobeying uniformed officers that goes all the way back to January 7th, 2021. And remember, they're only in Minneapolis to secure the border because of Somalia. Glad we cleared that up, because so many of you in the media have been focused on the wrong things. Now, I am happy to take any questions you have about the president's ballroom.
Yeah, I think that sums it up pretty adequately. Aiden, you'd be proud of Mod. She stood up to my authority as head mod at Tacos last night. Baby steps. BS, you better watch out. Because while you think that Mod is just, oh, she's my friend. Oh, she's got my best interests at heart. You know, we may have our disagreements every once in a while, but at the end of the day, we're still friends, right? Nope. She's getting ready, BS. The palace coup is coming. All right? January 6th is going to happen on Taco's server. And little did you know that you're going to be the actual victim this time. Mod's not going to tell them to stand by the way. She's going to be very overt about the fact that a mob is going to storm in and remove you from power. R.I.P. Lewis. I mean, I'm just trying to warn him ahead of time. I'm giving him his Ides of March. You know, BS is sitting here right now in the side chat. He's like Julius Caesar. It really is appropriate. Because who am I? I'm just this little tiny obscure channel on YouTube. Got 77 subscribers, right? And here's BS. Big Shot Lewis. That's what BS stands for, by the way. Big Shot. And he comes over here in the side chat. And he's like, oh, hey, everybody, how's it going? And I'm the sage that comes up to him. And I'm like, BS! Beware the Ides of March. Beware the Ides of Mod. Missing Mod is coming for you. I foretell it. And you're like, poppycock. I do not care a whit for what you have to say, for I am an aristocrat in a Shakespearean play, and therefore, much like HBO's Rome, every single Roman aristocrat will have a British accent now. It's exactly analogous to each other. Et tu mode? Better to be a big shot than a big shit. That is true. That is true. And you know, for the record, I've never seen BS Lewis or Missing Mod shit themselves on live stream. So I unironically hold those two to a higher standard than the President of the United States. Isn't that a funny world that we live in, huh? Isn't that a funny world? Anyways, I am going to keep going with another segment. Only I can reveal where the mustard will lie. Damn, Dustin. Damn, that's a foreboding comment on the side chat. Aiden, to be fair, every foreign English speaker has a British accent on TV, even in my kung fu movies. That's fair. To be fair to Trump, I always stay off camera. Well, you know what also stayed off camera? His, I think it's his, which one of his hands is it? Which one of his hands is it? I think it's his left hand. That's like, he's like covering it up in a glove all the time. I don't even have that pulled right now. But yeah, he's been like covering his hand with this fucking glove. And like the idiot that he is, he could literally cover both of his hands with gloves and be like, you know, it's very cold right now, folks. It's very cold. It's January. I don't know about you, but at my age, things get a little bit cold out here, folks. He could literally do that. But he's only wearing one glove, like a fucking Bond villain. And we're just not supposed to talk about that. Whereas if it was actually a Bond, like if in Goldfinger, right? The main villain only wore one glove throughout the entire movie, people would be talking about that, right? People would be speculating about that. They'd be like, what's going on with him? Why does he have one glove but not the other one? But apparently for the fucking president of the United States, we're just supposed to go, oh yeah, it's normal that he's only wearing one glove all over the place to cover his weird decrepit hand that looks all mangled now. Well, it doesn't look mangled, but it looks really discolored is what I've seen. It's like people have been talking about it. I haven't seen any photographic evidence or anything like that, mind you. There's been lots of talk about that. Hi, Aiden. Hi, Terry. How's it going? He is the man with 6 fingers who killed my father. That is right, B.S. Lewis. You killed my father. Prepare to die. What a great movie, am I right? Man, Princess Bride. That is a good one. And you know, speaking of Princess Bride, I think that there's a certain person who goes really well with the person in our thumbnail here. Because if you've seen Princess Bride, you'll know the character who's in the thumbnail. And I think he shares a lot in common with a certain Lupin. Because think about it, right? They both are very balding. I'll give him credit where it's due. At least unlike Lupin, you know, he doesn't wear weird hats around all over the place in order to try and cover up the fact that he's balding, that he's got male pattern baldness. Really a good show of the superiority of your race, by the way, to show that a bunch of your hair falls out at that early of an age. Ultimate show of superiority. But yeah, there's balding. That's one. They both assume that they're very intelligent when they're actually not. They couldn't argue their way out of a wet paper bag. They both contrive all of these different schemes, only for the schemes to fall apart before their eyes. I'll say, unlike Lupin, though, at least his scheme actually had half a chance of working. You know, like, there was actual effort that had to be put into foiling his scheme. So that would probably be the main difference between them, is that A, he actually kind of puts some effort into the schemes that he concocts. And B, he's actually funny at certain points. You know? Like, he's actually capable of being humorous. And I think that that's pretty awesome. You know? And there's also the fact that he uses a bunch of words that he doesn't understand, you know? Famous example, cognitive dissonance. He went around using that, and then when I asked him what that meant, couldn't fucking figure out what it was. So I tried to divert the topic to something completely different. It's just like inconceivable, isn't it? I don't think that word means what you think it means. They have a lot in common with each other. And I just wanted to pull up a little bit more Lupin content. Because I'll tell you what, I get me some pretty good views. Lupin said one thing that is kind of true. And that's, I get a lot of views watching his content. But you see, that wasn't always the case, though, Lupin. First couple times I covered your content, the views actually went the opposite way. Started going down rather than up. Because unlike you, I worked and I refined my way of covering your content, right? Because that's just as a genuine piece of advice, right? If you encounter obstacles in your life, rather than just giving up and just abandoning them, just give it another try with maybe a slightly different approach, and it might just work out for you, right? So I wanted to cover a couple of things. First and foremost, I wanted to cover even more examples of just how great of a streamer this guy is. And this guy has made over 1,000 videos. He's got over 1,000 videos on his channel. He's got a gold mine, like I said before. And I get it, from what people have been telling me, he's been trying really hard to get my attention right now over on his channel. He's been trying a couple different things to get my attention. But why would I have to go and cover anything that you've said right now when I have so much content from your past that I can go through and just point out what a fucking idiot you are? Someone should tell Lupin the same. Tell her what the same, Miss Ahmad? What are you talking about? He's been tagging me too. What a shock. What a shock. Is it really a surprise that he's been tagging you, though? I don't think so. He's been trying to get my attention on things forever. I've got an example pulled from almost 2 years ago from this guy trying to get my attention. So I just kind of wanted to establish a little bit of a pattern, as well as pointing out what a fucking fumbling, mumbling, stumbling retard this guy is. Because, as I said from the beginning, right? What argument can you really have against your content being bad if I just demonstrate it for everybody else? So let's take a look at this first stream. And this one is called... Can we hit 25 new subs? It's free. And you know what? I'll say this. This title comes from a day and age. It comes from an era, right? When Lupin actually was trying to get real subscribers and real engagement on his channel. It's before he completely gave up, right? There's people out there that call themselves Brett Keane historians. I might myself endeavor to eventually, through casual viewing, I'll become a Lupin historian. There's got to be somebody out there that can repackage his content. And it's the same thing for Brett Keane. Both of them have identical arguments as well. It's an even further piece of evidence that they're identical to each other. Because you go to Brett Keane's content, and he'll talk about how drunken peasants and amazing atheists got any popularities because they talked all that bullshit about me. And it's like, okay, if that's the case, Brett, then why is it that when you put out content, barely anybody engages with it or gives a fuck about it whatsoever? But then when they put out content covering you, all of a sudden, all the views and engagement and all that stuff that you yourself, because make no mistake, much like Lupin, Brett Keane is desperate for internet fame, right? Desperate for it. He wants it so bad. And he's never been able to get it. And, they both have options in front of them, don't they? Both Brett and Lupin have the option where, people are covering me in pretty unflattering ways online right now. They're both kind of insulting the piss out of me in the particular situation. But even with that in mind, right, you can either get really bitter and angry and make a bunch of really spiteful, resentful content back towards those people, or just as a thought, right? Just as a suggestion, you pull yourself up out of the gutter and do something with your life, right? And that's the ultimate way of proving me wrong, isn't it? I've said it from the beginning. I said it way back in the day. If this guy got himself a job that was well paying, if this guy kept at the gym, this guy kept up with the whole e-bike thing, if this guy kept up with really any of his pursuits that weren't just laying around languishing in a swimming pool all day long in his own filth, I think that there really wouldn't be any way for me to criticize him the way that I'm criticizing him right now. The harshest criticisms that I have towards him, you know, the ones that like people like Terry are out there clutching her pearls about. Yeah, she's talking about Aiden. This isn't like you. You know what, Terry? The best way that Lupin could disarm all of the worst insults that I have for him is if he gets his shit together. Because let's say, right? Let's say a year from now, Lupin gets on camera. Not through some pre-recorded AI-generated fucking or AI-assisted video or some bullshit like that fucking, you know, gay-tard preteen helps him get set up. No. If he comes on a live stream and he's got like a fucking chiseled thing of abs and he's got a fucking giant set of fucking guns on his arms and he just fucking flexes and he's like, hey, Aiden, why don't you get on cam? Because I most certainly do not have those things for the record. What the fuck could I do at that point except go, shit, Lupin, you're fucking way better built than I'd have nothing on him, would I? So, you know, maybe my methods are harsh, but I just want to make my methodology very clear, right? It's kind of like how Robin Williams approached Will Hunting and Good Will Hunting, right? Except if Will Hunting was like disabled mentally, you know? Like, they're unconventional approaches, but I've got to reach him in a way that nobody else in his life has. And how else am I going to do that except through unconventional means? And really, all I'm trying to do is get him to improve. Work on yourself, man. That's what I was doing with the streams. When I went and played his live stream and I pointed out how fucking incompetent it is, and I'm about to do with these streams and point out how incompetent they are, right? Lupin doesn't want to put in the hard work and change his toxic behavior to fix his public image. It takes a lot of humble pie eating, but I did it. I mean, Lupin can do it. You know what? And I'll give Steven full credit, right? I'll give Steven credit where it's due. We're living in a day and age, and I'm not even saying this to be demeaning towards Logan whatsoever, because I've tried to go my separate ways, but I'm living in a day and age where I'm somehow on good terms with Steven and bad terms with Logan. And that is just such a bizarro world scenario, you know? I do really hope that me and Logan can reconcile with our terms, but the reason why me and Steven are on good terms right now is because, yeah, Steven did eat some humble pie, and he said he was wrong about things, and he came and he apologized. And I apologized for some of the things that I said towards him, because I had no lack of pretty harsh fucking things that I said about Steven as well. But we actually talked it out, and now we're on good terms. And I don't know, maybe he thinks that that's just like impossible, right? Maybe he thinks that it's just an impossibility to actually eat that humble pie and try to come together on decent terms with things. But I don't know. As far as that's concerned, I can't pretend like I would know that aspect of his mentality anywhere near as well as I know the fact that he doesn't put effort in with his content as far as the actual streams themselves. But I just wanted to briefly point out that he was trying to actually get real subscribers back at this point. He wasn't trying to ride off of the fake Taiwanese and Chinese bots that he's got on his channel right now, or Indian. I'm pretty sure you mentioned Indian bots as well. Aiden, are you really trying to be his friend? I mean, criticism can be harsh, Terry, but I'll tell you what, I don't want to be Lupin's friend in his current form. How does that sound? I don't want to be friends or break bread with a person as conniving and backstabbing and backbiting and repressive and repressed himself somehow. Like, I don't want to keep company with people like that, right? Because, like, you and I, Terry, we have our disagreements. Like, there's times where you have so little self-control that you go off the handle and say a whole bunch of dumb shit on a stream to try and stir up a bunch of drama. But I don't just throw you out and say a whole bunch of horrible things about you, do I? No. Because I understand that underneath that, there's actually like a person that's trying to actually on a certain level, like be my friend and like have camaraderie with me on a certain level. Like that's a lot more likable than what this guy does. So I think that's a pretty fair response to what you're saying. I'm not trying to stir up drama. I'm not saying you're trying to, well, I guess in a way you're trying to stir up drama, aren't you? You know, when you bring up all the topics that you do and all the race baity stuff that you bring up, which you know for a fact you do it. Come on, Terry. You bring up race baity stuff all the time. I'm trying to be an edgelord. I mean, hey, there's that. There's that. But being an edgelord comes with stirring up drama, doesn't it? That's kind of a natural outcropping of being an edgelord. Is that a bunch of drama is going to be created in your path? Race-bation. That's right. That's right. Looks like it's on now. When is it off, my friend? When is it off on the Aiden Linden channel? But let's take a look. Enough yapping, which I'm sure that he'll try to use. I'm sure that's one of the terms, one of the dismissive terms he'll try to use to try and like discount what I'm saying. This is when you can come back to the video now, Lupin, because I'm actually going to play your content. This is the beginning of the stream, by the way. I just want to point that out. This is the very beginning of the stream. No intro. Yeah. Why would I do that? I'm just gonna sit here,
actually use you,
and then play a video, not even at the very beginning of the video. No introduction about what he's talking about. No like, hey guys, how's it going? It's me, Lupin, and today we're gonna be talking about X. Like, don't get me wrong, this is old content, but like, it's 10 months old. It's not ancient. This isn't ancient history. 6 likes. You're killing it, buddy. God damn. But yeah, this is from 10 months ago. This guy's been streaming for like, what, 3 years at this point? 3 or 4 years? You've got like 1,000 videos up on your channel. And this is how you open your stream? This is the way. This is really going to get audience engagement. You know what? My bad, dude. My bad. When I start my stream and I try to be like engaging right off the bat, and I try to get people to like engage in the chat and like have interesting, compelling dialogue that people are going to tune in for, that's the wrong way of going about things. Instead, I should do this. Instead, I should go,
actually use you. Wouldn't that be a thing? Training so hard to
well, let's get that. Let's get the speed up.
That ideal.
Make sure that my short attention span doesn't get distracted.
Species. We all know that might not happen, but until then, we have you.
And then he gets through this, right? He plays this thing, right? And then after he's done playing it, watch this, right? Hold on. Let me skip ahead.
Do you for himself. That is the character of this soldier.
And then we get him looking up like a lemming into the camera. And then, like, over 10 seconds of dead air when he's trying to speak. Go back. Hold on, I'll go back. He's moving his mouth. Like, he is trying to speak to his audience right now, but his dumb fucking brain just can't quite make the connection. The neuron hasn't quite fired to let him know that he's muted right now. And let's listen to the insightful dialogue on top of that he has for the very beginning of this, right?
All right, everybody, let me tell you, we're trying to hit 25 subs for today. Let's see.
Like, okay, maybe if you had just had the video with no context play and then you introduce the video afterwards, right? After the video is done playing, you're like, yeah, hey everybody, how's it going? My name's Lupin, and today I just wanted to show you that video because X, Y, and Z, right? But no, instead, he just stares into the corner of the camera like a lemming, says a couple of things, realizes that he's muted, and then rather than even acknowledging that in a way that might just salvage a shred of humble, like, humility out of it, that would be actually kind of funny, he just carries on like nothing ever even happened in the first place. And that's really him as a whole, isn't it? No matter what happens to him, no matter how much of an ass he makes of himself, he never really takes a moment to go, holy fuck, maybe I should change my behavior, you know? Maybe there's an aspect of myself that needs to be looked at here and examined critically. No, he always just keeps bulldozing forward with the exact same mentality. Because, what now? Right, because of the sin of pride. That's what it is. It can't be anything else. What else would cause somebody, in spite of all of the shit that they've incurred in their life, like this guy, to not really change or adapt or do anything differently with himself? It's just got to be abject pride, right? Let's see what BS said in the side chat. An old man outro. Hey, my old man outro. I'll tell you what, BS. You stick around for it, don't you? There is that. You could call it a shitty old man outro, and maybe it is a shitty old man outro. Maybe that's exactly what it is. But you hang around every single time, if anything else than to criticize it. So there is that. Honestly, if Lupin wanted more views, he should just point the camera at his cleavage. Yeah. If Lupin had a cleavage cam on one of his streams, I feel like people might be a little interested in that. But that's the penultimate reason why Lupin is a lolcow, right? Because if Lupin was self-aware, right? If Lupin realized, and this is one of the criticisms that I have of the Drunken Peasants, and Amazing Atheist, and like Deep Fat Fried, and all those content creators and stuff, the people that really like milked all of the Brett Keane content back in the day. I know, Missing Mod, stop the presses. I'm going to be critical of those people. What a shock. But they always had this mentality that, like, okay, Brett, if you just do a whole bunch of bits with us, knowing that you're doing them, and like make a whole bunch of content for like drama bait and stuff like that, they were always talking about how they could have made so much more money off of it. And I disagree. And, you know, maybe me as somebody that hasn't made a fucking dime doing this as a hobby doesn't really have much to be able to say about that. But the reason why I disagree is because if Brett realized that he was a lolcow and realized that he was a contentious know-nothing piece of shit, then he wouldn't have had the amount of people watch him, right? Through the fact that they watched Drunken Peasants and watched Amazing Atheist and watched all those content creators. If he became self-aware, he wouldn't have been a lolcow anymore. So, really, I said from the very beginning, by the way, you can go back to the very first time I covered Lupin on this channel. I said, this is going to be a temporary thing, right? I'm going to do this on a temporary basis as long as I have funny content from him to make fun of. I'll do this as a bit of a segment on my channel. But I'll tell you what, Lupin, if you start actually becoming like a semi-regular human being, then I'll stop covering you. I'll tell you what, if you can reform, we're going to do reform the Lupin. Hashtag reform the Lupin in the side chat. Can we get that out there? I'm going to put that out there, and I'm going to have that in the main bottom part of the chat, because I want people to reform the Lupin. Maybe if I do enough of these segments and embarrass him thoroughly enough, maybe he'll eventually come back around to becoming a decent human being. But let's watch a different one. because that was pretty funny. It was. But I actually initially only pulled this because of the title. Canadians are annoying. This has 36 views. Streamed live on November 21st, 2024. This is a real oldie, ladies and gentlemen. This one right here. All right, we covered one that was 10 months ago, but this one, this is like, we're like brushing the dust off of the top of this video. Say hi to Spooky Bear. Did I not say hi to Spooky? Spooky, I apologize. You know what, Spooky? I'm sorry. I'm just going to stop the stream for a brief moment and say hello to you. Hi, Spooky. Hope you're doing well today. Alrighty. But let's watch this. Let's have a bit of a archaeological dig into some older Lupin content. We've got a 2-minute countdown. I was thinking to myself, pretty smart idea for the exact reason that Phantom was talking about earlier. You get more watch time. You have 2 minutes of the stream where you're not even doing anything effort-wise. But you know, that first 2 minutes of the stream, at the very least, you think would give you ample time to kind of get ready for things, right? Kind of get your shit together, at least somewhat. But I think we're about to see that if we skip ahead, he does in fact have his shit together. Alrighty, 10 seconds, everybody. Let's see this. Are you ready? You better sit back in your seat. You're gonna get blown away by the first 10 seconds.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome.
Oh, Lupin. Never. You know what? Fuck what I said earlier. You know what? I said reform Lupin earlier in the chat. I have very ambivalent feelings today about these sorts of things. Never change, Lupin. Never change. Never change. You know what? Do whatever the fuck you want. Honestly, I think that's the closest. You know, if I really want to get to the bottom of the closest version of that I actually feel, it's probably just do whatever the fuck you want, because either one of them would be equally interesting for me to see. Right? Maybe I wouldn't get content fodder off of seeing you do better with yourself, but at the very least, it would be interesting for me to watch you do better with yourself. It'd be interesting to see that process actually kind of take shape over the next year or two. You're right, Buck. We should make achievable goals. Let's see. What did Buck say? Oh, BS said, hashtag make Lupin straight again. And Dustin said, too far, BS, too far. To which BS says, you're right, Buck. We should make achievable goals. That's true. I feel validated now. You should, Spooky. You are a very valid member of this community. And I hope that you feel validated now that I've given you a special shout out. 15 likes on the stream. Goodness gracious, people. I'm not even through the end of the intro to the stream, and we've already got 15 likes. Fuck yeah, ladies and gentlemen. So, you know, those are the more demonstrable examples of Lupin not giving a fuck about his content. But it would be a little bit unfair for me to only cover Lupin when he's being incompetent, wouldn't it? I mean, to say that I cover Lupin when he's incompetent is unfair is not necessarily true, because he's always incompetent. But I would say that it's unfair to do it when he's blatantly incompetent. Let me, I guess, rephrase things a little bit. Grand Mod be taking good care of little Aiden. Hey, I appreciate you letting me use the stream card, Mod. I'll always appreciate that. But I think it's also a little bit more fair to show Lupin when he's at least attempting to articulate something analogous to a point. Right? I think that that's going to be a bit more fair. You know, Dustin just put in here, to be fair, to see a time where Lupin is ever confident would be like seeing a unicorn with a penis out of its forehead. You see, and he corrected himself to say competent. And I was about to correct you myself there, Dustin, because I think that Lupin is actually pretty confident with most of the things that he does. But that's one of the things that makes him so, I don't know, maybe roguish is the most flattering I could package that term in. You know, it's the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? It's the fact that he's so confident when he's wrong about things, amongst others, that makes him so entertaining to watch. Lol. I don't know if you're laughing at me. What are you laughing at, Mod? The hell are you laughing at? Someone ban that woman. I'm at work, but I'm still using talk to text. And you know what, Dustin? It's crazy how somehow you're able to use talk to text and it doesn't come out a garbled fucking mess like when Dan uses talk to text. Funny how that works. Oh yeah, by the way, I should have put this at the very beginning. I don't give a shit what it does to my watch time, but I am intentionally putting a whole bunch of random bullshit in between covering these segments, because I know it's going to make things more inconvenient for people like Lupin and Clay to watch it. I know that it's going to be more shitty for them when they're going to have to parse through a bunch of dumb bullshit like this in the middle of all of the other things that I'm doing to cover them. So I don't really care what it does for the larger audience, because at the end of the day, it is my channel, right? If it makes it more inconvenient for them, that's amusing to me. And that's going to be paramount to what I care about, at least in this particular segment. Let me jump in and help you jump out of the trashing trap. What are you talking about, Achilles? What are you talking about? If you think I've fallen into a trap by trashing this guy, then I guess this is one of the only traps in human history where it's all reward and no consequence. I'm literally only getting the cheese from the mouse chap. Mouse chap. Mouse chap. Hello, mouse chap. I'm only getting the cheese out of the mouse trap, though, right? Like, if a mouse trap never works and you're just endlessly able to snag the bit of cheese out of the trap, it's not much of a trap, is it? Dan is a blithering idiot. You don't say. Open the panel. Hey, man, it's Rasta Steven here. I'm here to tell you, man, you gotta open the panel. Dan is a good-hearted man. Hey, that may be the case. I can't really honestly comment on the goodness or badness of Dan's heart, unlike Dan, who likes to constantly pass judgment on those things. But I can only judge him based on his behavior, and his behavior has not been the best. I'm just going to put that out there. But let's, as I said earlier, go back to covering Lupin. And let's cover when he actually is attempting to make a point. Live here on the Aiden Linden channel.
And if we want a topic or anything tonight, I kind of want to do a little call-in show, but a lot of people don't like to call into the show because they don't like to give my show any kind of credibility or anything like that, that's okay, because even if they don't, I can still kind of monologue and still have things to talk about.
Then why do you push it so hard, dude? That would be my question, right? Like, if it doesn't matter whether or not they're there, then why is it like every stream you're desperately trying to get people onto your panel with you to have an argument with you, where it's this constant like change my mind bullshit that you constantly try to pull, even though everybody that has had even a passing association with you knows for a fact that you're not going to have your mind changed about shit. Like, I just don't get why you try to push that so hard if at the same time it just doesn't even matter. Clearly it does. The only videos of yours that ever really get any engagement is when you're either talking about a hot button topic with a bunch of other people that are against you, or when you're trying to start a bunch of drama with people and you actually manage to get a little bit of a bite on your line. Like, those are the only times that you ever get any kind of views whatsoever. So let's watch.
So it doesn't really bother me. It's usually the same people. So hopefully we just get newer faces in here, and all the old ones will just kind of fall off the face of the planet.
And if that's, once again, yet another lie. Because if that's what you really wanted, then why would you, according to all these people in my community, be making all this shit on your channel trying to get my attention? If you really want people like me to just fall off the face of the planet, Lupin, then what are you doing all this fucking shit trying to tag me in all these posts and things like that? Why are you trying to tag Mod in all these posts? Why are you trying to antagonize all these same people over and over again if you really hope that they fall off a cliff? Now, I think that's partially true. I think that although Lupin can never tell a full truth, there's always at least a tiny little bit of a shred of truth in at least most of the things that he says, right? And I think the truth in what he said there is that it would be a lot easier for him to maintain an audience that didn't know all of the baggage that this guy had, right? If he somehow was able to just start anew and just kind of try all over again and do things from scratch, maybe he would actually stand a way better chance at cultivating an audience. But much like Brett Keane, the ship has sailed, dude. The ship has sailed. One of the only differences between you and Brett, I guess I'm kind of coming back to that tangent again. One of the main differences between you and Brett, Lupin, is the fact that Brett was actually big on YouTube at a certain point in time, right? Like, there was a point in time where Brett was like the biggest atheist on YouTube. And there were major content creators that were trying to emulate his style. And he was extremely influential within the community. And you've never even had that. You don't even have, you're not even the old ex-high school football player. Looking back to that one play that you did back in 1976, you don't even have that. You don't even have the golden hour to look back upon and reminisce about. So, like, I don't know why you're still trying the same way that Brett does, when just like Brett, everybody that knows of you does not respect you. They know what your shit is all about. Your name has been sullied in this community beyond any shred of redeemability outside of just an outright fucking, holy shit, I'm wrong about what I've done and I really need to eat a shitload of crow and a shitload of humble pie. Outside of that, which, by the way, is still a path that Brett can go down even after all the shit that he's done. But neither one of you will do it. And you won't do it for the same reason. You won't do it because of pride. Yeah, Brett was a big deal. I remember, Terry. I remember back in the day when Brett was a huge deal on YouTube. I was there. Not for the very beginning of it, but like some of the earliest stuff I watched on YouTube were like the religion debates. Because you got to remember, back in the day, the whole Christian versus atheist thing, while it's a pretty sideline topic on YouTube nowadays, it's all over the place. You respect Lupin. I mean, yeah, you claim to respect Lupin, but I'm really not entirely sure if your actions really dictate that you do respect him when you've had to spurn his advances the way that you have and cover for his bad behavior as often as you have and try to make excuses for it as often as you have. I don't really think that that's like a denotation of respect so much as it is a denotation of this guy aligns with a lot of my views politically and therefore is a useful idiot for me. You know, hey, that's my view. The views of Aiden Linden do not necessarily represent the views of Terry Strange and Associates. Let me just put that out there. But that's the real talk. All right. Terry don't respect Chipotle. That's true. That's true. What do you mean? I mean, you could go back and listen to what I said again if you don't get what I mean. I think I made myself pretty damn clear. Aiden is a tortured artist. It's true. I truly am the modern Van Gogh when you think about it. But let's listen to him talk about this some more. I got caught up in the same trap. You know what? I just did get caught up in a trap. Not on Lupin's account, but on my own. Because I just said I was going to let him talk. And I played all of like 37 seconds and went off on another fucking tangent. So let's listen to him talk.
Like I said, they can be like little leeches, but we'll pray for them, you know, like a good Christian would do, even though they drive us crazy at times. But yeah, like I said, it would be kind of like a call-in show. You just, in order to join the show, you just join in using that link. And if you want to give one or two arguments, maybe on whether or not you think that ICE is.
You know, and I'm going to take Lupin's advice. Let's speed this shit up. God. You know, if there's one thing that I do have to give Lupin credit for, it's the idea that we, every once in a while, maybe not for an American serviceman giving a redress to a soldier when you claim to be a patriotic person that really loves your country. Maybe don't speed that up, but speeding your dumb ass up, hell yeah, brother.
Justified, you know, in with what they're doing. I hear a lot of
wow, holy shit. Listen to that. At 1.25 times speed, he actually starts sounding like a regular person with his cadence and how he speaks. Holy shit. Listen to this.
You know, in with what they're doing. I hear a lot of I'm still hearing a lot of the same stuff. Okay, I think the heater's on. Let me actually get this. Let me get the sweater off because I'm gonna start sweating. This is gonna get hot in here, so take off all your clothes.
Like, maybe he's a little fast there. Maybe if I tone him down just a little bit, maybe 1.2 is the golden ratio. You know the phi ratio in mathematics? That ratio that's like, it's like the Fibonacci sequence, right? Have you ever seen that, Terry? I'm sure you're familiar with that. I'm sure, Terry, you've at least glanced at a Dan Brown novel, much like myself. You know about the Fibonacci sequence? I'm trying to find the perfect speed to make this guy listenable.
I'm just talking about for me. But anyway. So yeah, is ICE like justified? You know, if you want to join in, let me know what you think. But you know, I'm
makes you mildly discomfort. It's not discomfort why I'm speeding him up or skipping around. It's not discomfort in the slightest. I'm speeding him up because he's boring as fuck otherwise. He's so slow with how he talks about things, meanders his way through a sentence, and eventually comes around some kind of semblance of a point. So when you speed him up a little bit, then he starts sounding kind of like this and starts sounding like he's talking in the speed of a regular person and like a regular kind of person that isn't drinking 82,000 liters of alcohol every single day. You know, like, I don't know. Doesn't that make him look better? Like, come on, Dustin. Honestly, isn't speeding him up, isn't that just an example of trying to make him look better? I think so.
Hearing the same thing. Oh, ISIS, you know, they're Nazis, and it's the Gestapo, and everything. All this stupid stuff, and like they don't have the jurisdiction to do what they're doing. They can't be pulling over civilians. Blah 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 blah.
Okay, so far the criticisms are ICE is acting like the Gestapo. Let's see. Non-judicial search of people's homes. Check. Holding people at gunpoint and taking them out of their vehicle in spite of no instigation on their part and no judicial warrant. Check. Murder of American citizens on the street after they've been disarmed due to a post hoc justification of prior political agitation. Check. Right? Like, all the things are starting to line up with that, but hey, who cares about that? If I just say blah, 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 then it just suddenly becomes irrelevant. And also the whole, oh, they don't have the jurisdiction to be pulling over civilians. Well, it's not what happened. They didn't pull them over. What happened with Renee Good was they approached her vehicle and tried to reef the door open. No jurisdiction to do that as an ICE agent over an American citizen. Sorry. I know that there's no actual argument against that because that's just factually accurate. So the best thing that you can do is go blah, 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 blah. But sorry, dude, them's the breaks. The whole facts don't care about your feelings crowd resorts to pretty childish tactics when it comes time to actually face the facts of the reality around them, don't they?
Saying, "Oh, ISIS, they're Nazis and it's the Gestapo and everything, all this stupid stuff, and like they don't have the jurisdiction to do what they're doing. They can't be pulling over civilians, blah 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 blah." And it's all kind of nonsense, And of course,
good argument, dude. Good argument. It's all kind of nonsense. I was looking for something that actually had some kind of structure to it, something that actually had like a pointed criticism of a specific argument that was being made there. But you know what? It's all just kind of a bunch of nonsense. So true, so accurate.
I don't want to see martial law, and I don't want to see an overstimulated police presence.
Overstimulated police presence? Was that the best word that you could come up with there for that moment, dude? Overstimulated. Yeah. What are they all? Are they all autistic? And they all have like and I say that as somebody with an autistic fiance that makes overstimulation jokes all the damn time, for the record. But like, are they all overstimulated by like a bunch of jingling bells or flashing lights or so? Oh no, we gotta go away, guys. We're overstimulated. Ah! Just cobbling whatever you think sounds intelligent together in the moment in order to try and propagate some kind of argument. Like, what the hell are you doing right now, dude?
But if certain states and certain cities create and necessitate the need for an extreme. Oh, I'm getting a message about ICE protests. Extreme. Oh, I'm getting a message about ICE protests around my zip code. Funny enough.
That's so funny, The fact that he rolls his eyes at the idea that there are ICE protests right now in his zip code. It's just yet another example of how fundamentally dishonest this guy is. Because one of his attempted arguments he's used against people like me is, they say things about it, but they don't ever actually do anything about it in any way, shape, or form. And it's like, all right, well, if that's the case, right? If that's the case, and you really do only respect people that get out there and protest, then why are you so dismissive? And why do you roll your eyes? And why do you make backhanded remarks at people that do get out there and protest all the time? If your whole criticism is that, oh, I'm sitting here not actually doing anything in real life, and you're also dismissive of people that do get out there and do shit in real life, then effectively what you're doing is just bullshitting. What a shock. Lupin is trying to pretend to have a standard that he can be demonstrated not to actually have in the real world. Must be another day that ends in Y, huh? Like, which one is it, dude? Seriously. And by the way, on top of that, I'll ask you to make another short while I asked you to make the first one. You should still make the first one based on what I asked you to do, by the way. But make your second one about what I should be doing, right? If your criticism is that I'm not actually doing anything besides just sitting here talking about it, then tell me the steps of what I should do in order to do things about these protests that would meet your approval. I don't think you will, because actually having a standard that is firm and set in place and doesn't shift over the course of even a week is kind of a foreign concept to you, I know. But you could at least attempt it. It would be interesting to see.
But if there's cities and states that facilitate and necessitate the need for an increased police presence, then it is what it is, because some of these people, they're
necessitate the needs for an increased police presence based off of what? Like, once again, you just make these statements. Oh, these places need an increased police presence. Don't even bother to take a fucking moment to explain why they need an increased police presence compared to other cities. Why? Because A, that would take effort. It would take you actually opening a fucking book or reading an article or doing some real fucking actual research about this shit, which we both know for a fact you're not going to bother to do. And B, like, it would necessitate you actually having the due diligence to do that on a consistent basis. Because as soon as you start holding yourself to that standard, maybe that's why he doesn't do it. Shit. Maybe I'm coming to a revelation right now. Maybe the reason why he doesn't try is because he knows the moment that he starts trying, he's going to have to do that on a consistent basis. Otherwise, whatever audience he gets from trying is going to inevitably dissipate and disappear. You know, that might actually be the most compelling reason that I've heard of so far. That might just be. Oh, by the way, just wanted to say, because I know that both of you and Clay are watching right now, hope you guys are having a good day right now. Hope things are going well for you two in your lives. Maybe, just maybe, you can start putting all that time that you guys have to actual good productive use. I don't know. And when I say good productive use, I don't mean that you got to get out there and start swinging a hammer and putting a house together or something like that. I would consider doing a live stream that people are actually engaged with and actually care about on a certain level. I'd consider that more productive than whatever the hell this non-engagement slop is, right?
Rabid, they're going crazy. And yeah, I would just like to see if there's any people that want to argue.
They're going rabid. They're going crazy. Outside of the total lack of specifics, which I've already pointed out before, do you really genuinely think that we live in a world where people just go rabid and go crazy? Like, even if that's just true, right, on the face of it, do you think people do that for no reason? Do you think there's ever been a point, one time in human history, where people just woke up one day and were just like, you know what? Yesterday I was a well-adjusted human being, but you know what? Today I think I'm just going to go and kill somebody with a tire iron. I think that's what I'm going to go do today. I think that people tend to go from being well-adjusted to unwell-adjusted over a period of time, for one thing. And I think that it's actually a multitude of different circumstances and pressures that will push them towards doing those things. So I think trying to have this dismissive attitude of, people are going crazy, maybe actually take a moment to look into why people are going crazy. Yeah, we do live in that world. Well, you know, Terry, that's just a great example of the fact that you and your ilk are so willing to just brazenly deny reality on the face of it. You really are. No matter how pale-faced the reality that you're looking back at is, no matter how clear it is, the truth of what's happening doesn't actually matter to you. And you know what a great example of that is? I guess we can drop this Lupin content, because I think I've probably milked that. No, I think I probably squeezed that lemon down to the rind at this point. Gotten all the content I could out of that. But the Epstein files are a great example of that. The Epstein files, Trump is literally in those so many times. He's mentioned over 1,000 times in the Epstein files. And what are the things that you're doing? You just said it yourself right now, the excuses that you're making for the fact that he's all over the Epstein files. I just have Epstein files fatigue. I'm just so tired of hearing about it all the time. It's like, okay, that's great that you personally are tired of hearing about it all the time. But the truth of what actually happened is still in there. And whether you're interested in that is not pertinent to the fact that the truth is in there. The fuck do I mean by your ilk? I mean your ilk, as in the people in your community who take a look at a PDF file like Donald John Trump and carry water for him because he satisfies some other aspect of your life, and therefore you're just willing to look the other way and not hold him to account for the horrible things that he's done. and call him the greatest president ever and call him Daddy Trump and all that shit. It's just really weird. It's a parasocial relationship is really what it is. And there's a lot of those in the modern age. There's a lot of those in the modern context. When we live in an age of social media, the parasocial relationship can be found all over the place. And yet, you see all of these people rushing to defend a man who abjectly did horrible, terrible things to innocent people. And why do they rush to him? Clearly not because he has their best interests at heart. Not on a personal level, at the very least. It's not like Donald Trump has ever heard of Terry Strange. It's not like he knows who she is. It's not like he knows where she lives. It's not like he knows that she's been carrying water and supporting him in spite of the fact that he's been doing all this fucked up bullshit. And yet, here you are, carrying water for him. You got something in those files about Trump I should know, Aiden? Let me know when you do. Well, let me just say, Terry, that if I pull up something in the Epstein files right now, oh wait, I have something in the Epstein files about Trump already. I'm going to pull that up, and then you're just going to dismiss it, aren't you? I'm a prophet. I'm going to make a prophetic prediction right now and say that the thing that I have in the Epstein files is going to be dismissed by you and that the goalposts are going to be shifted. Because here you are right now, before I even go into it, you just said you got something in those files about Trump I should know, Aiden? Let me know when you do. Well, what if I do, Terry? Let me just ask you before I even show them. If I do, will you be willing to say in the side chat that you were wrong? If I do have something about Trump in the Epstein files right now, would you be willing to say in the side chat, fuck, Aiden? You don't even say fuck, but just go, you know what, Aiden? I was wrong about that. I was wrong about that. I don't care if you have a goal or not. I'm just asking you straight up right now to actually take a firm stance on this so you can't weasel your way out of it later on. That's what I'm asking you to do. If I show you something in the Epstein files about Trump, like you asked me to earlier, will you go, okay, I was wrong about that? Or at the very least, okay, you showed me something. Depends on what it is. I know he's in them. Okay, well then what is it then, Terry? Let me ask you then. Let me just really nail this down. What would it need to be? What would constitute meeting that level of depravity? What does Trump need to do in those files for you to go, damn, he really is a fucked up person, isn't he? You're the weasel, not me. I'm the one trying to hold you to account and hold you to a specific standard, and you're the one that's refusing to actually give one. So you're demonstrated to be at least engaging in weasel-like behavior as we speak right now. I'm asking you to actually adhere to a specific standard. And I know you're not going to do it. You're not going to give me an example. Because if you give me an example and then I find you an example that meets that definition, then you'd actually have to be held to account for something. And people like you, people that always go, oh, I'm just trolling, oh, I'm just joking, as a means to try and retroactively cover up for all your dog whistling shit. You hate that, don't you? You hate actually being held to standards that can be gone back to and then held retroactively. That really sucks, doesn't it? You got something criminal to show? Well, let me ask you, what do you mean by criminal? And when I say, what do you mean by criminal, you may think I'm being ridiculously specific about this, but I don't want to show you something and then have you go, oh, that doesn't meet my definition of criminal. That's not my definition of criminal, so now I can get out of it based off of that. So what do you mean? No, I'm not going to pull it up before you actually have a firm position that can be held against. All right? No. What do you mean by criminal? I don't want there to be any level of ambiguity whatsoever. So unless you pull it up, I'll pull it up later on and talk about it in the part of the show where I planned to talk about it. But that's just the thing. I think all of these people, at least on the extreme end of the Trump camp, they always say in their minds in the moment that they're not going to follow him under certain circumstances. Oh, if he's in the Epstein files, then I won't follow him anymore. Then it turns out that he is in the Epstein files. Oh, well, if he's shown to be a criminal in the Epstein files, then I won't follow him. Right? It always just keeps going. It always just keeps getting pushed further and further along as a means of trying to justify following somebody that is abjectly horrible as Donald Trump. That's why I asked you to do it, Terry, because the moment that I pull it up, I don't want you to have any wiggle room whatsoever to go, oh, well, I actually meant it through this, therefore that doesn't meet the definition. Because that's what you people do and have been demonstrated to do. You got something we should know? Well, I'll bring it up on my time. I guess if you're not going to give me the specific standards that I can hold you to, which, what better evidence of the fact that you don't want to be held to any kind of standard about these things, and that you are the one exhibiting weaselly behavior, than being as afraid as you are right now to actually just answer a simple question. But hey, that's fine. If you want to call me a weasel while engaging in that kind of behavior yourself, I'm just going to call you out on the fact that you're doing that. Alrighty. I think that the Lupin stuff has been exhausted, like I said earlier, so I'm going to go on to the next segment. You're full of it? Well, I just demonstrated that you weren't willing to actually be held to account, so I'm not the one that's full of it. Sorry to say, girlfriend. Yeah, what do you mean by criminal activity? I'll give you one. I'll tell you what, Terry. For the sake of fairness, I'll give you one last chance before I move on. What do you mean by criminal activity? And if you can answer that, then I will go and show you. But I've already given you my reasoning for why I'm asking you about that. I've already given you my reasoning for why. Because I don't want there to be any ambiguity on what you mean so that you can't weasel your way out of it. Yep. Last chance has expired. You clearly don't want to actually do it. I've given you all the chances in the world. Too bad, so sad, Terry. I'm going to move on to the next segment. This farmer voted for Trump in 2024. He's struggling. Let's watch that. I don't have it on the main screen. Look at me practicing what I preach by just exhibiting the finest stream etiquette. Really in the driver's seat now.
Trump says, you know, be patient. The farmer's going to be better than ever. Well, you better hurry up because we can't stand this much.
That was Franz Roland, a farmer here in southern Georgia. He's been farming for more than 40 years, but he said the last year has been one of the most difficult ever.
With the prices like they are today, we're not going to make any money. We just try to figure out a way to not lose so much.
He doesn't blame President Trump for the economic challenges he's facing, but he said the Trump administration hasn't helped farmers either.
We've lost our market share, our trade to China. I don't know who dropped the ball in Washington to allow these prices, its trade to diminish like it has. But somebody dropped the ball. Somebody wasn't looking out for us. They got to get this trade back, or we all going to be doomed out here.
But many voters we talked to in Baldwin County, which President Trump won for the first time in 2024, like what they see from his first year in office.
Looking at where my 401k is, I'm going to give it an A. Overall, I think he is working towards the goals and the commitments that he made.
I'm tired of the United States getting pushed around, and I'm glad he's standing up.
He's trying to do everything. Sometimes he tries to do a little bit too much, but I'm happy with him.
So yeah, I wanted to bring that up as a preface. By the way, thank you very much, Clinton News Network, for letting me use that. Much obliged. But I wanted to use that as a preface to an article. Oh no, I'm about to read. Heaven forbid. Everybody, now's your chance to get out of here. I know. Boo! Aiden's gonna read. This sucks. Oh, goodness. That legal tobacco that I just took a rip of really hit different there. But anyways, Friday's jobs report will be delayed because of the partial government shutdown. Published Monday, February 2nd, you see here the Bureau of Labor Statistics will not be releasing the January jobs report as scheduled Friday due to the partial government shutdown. The decision comes ahead of a busy week for economic data that would have culminated with the non-farm payroll release. The Bureau of Labor Statistics will not be releasing the January jobs report as scheduled Friday due to the partial government shutdown, a department spokesman confirmed Monday. Quote, the employment situation release for January 2026 will not be released as scheduled on Friday, February 6, 2026. The release will be rescheduled upon the resumption of government funding, end quote. Emily Liddell, Associate Commissioner of BLS, said in a statement. Following last year's record shutdown that stretched into early November, the Bureau also was forced to delay a number of its routine releases and was just catching up from that incident. The BLS also releases the Consumer Price Index, import and export data, and multiple other labor and consumer-related data prices. It was not known if the Commerce Department also would face delays in its reporting due to the impasse in Washington. The decision comes ahead of a busy week for economic data that would have culminated with the non-farm payrolls release, also known as the unemployment situation. The report includes a count of how many hires businesses report, which provides the headline non-farm payrolls count, as well as household survey of how many people report holding jobs, which is used to tabulate the unemployment rate. Markets have been expecting the report to show an increase of 55,000 jobs and the unemployment rate to hold steady at 4.4%. Interesting. So by the way, before anybody claims, oh, this is CNBC, this is some lefty source, so it's inherently fucking liberal. According to this, markets have been expecting the report to show an increase of 55,000 jobs. Interesting. Interesting. We see an increase here, which, might be the case, might not be the case. Truth of the matter is that as of this particular moment, we don't know for sure. But we can, on the other hand, get a little bit of a picture, even if we don't have the official report. You can see here, without today's jobs report, next best data indicates a weakening labor market. In normal times, today would have been a job day. However, the Bureau of Labor Statistics has been forced to delay the release until December 16th, which, by the way, this was a previous release. This was the closest one that I could get a whole bunch of information for. So you can't say this isn't the current one that they refused to release, but it's one of several that the Bureau of Labor Statistics has refused to release recently. Interesting how the president that supposedly was going to create all of these jobs has been so reluctant time and time again to actually release the hard data about what's going on with those jobs in the country. But anyways, until December 16th, due to the lingering impacts of the Trump administration radically restricting BLS operations during the government shutdown. Further, BLS has announced that we will never have data from the monthly survey of households for October. This means that valuable information for that month, like the overall unemployment rate or the unemployment rate for various demographic groups, will never be known. Oh, shit. What a shame. How is it that this amazing, perfect government, this government that just does everything right all the time and is the best example of any government, it's the one that's more funded than any other on the planet, and yet We'll never know what the labor statistics were for October. Just poof, those are gone. Never to be seen. No eyebrows raised about that. Who cares about that, right? Doesn't matter. Such a competent government. Let me just get back to where I was. During the last federal shutdown in 2018 to 2019, BLS did not suspend its activities. Who was in power from 2018 to 2019? Oh, right. Right. The person that was in power from 2018 to 2019 was Donald Trump. So it's not like it's unprecedented. It's not like Trump hasn't had the BLS still conduct information during his prior presidency. No, it seems like for some reason this specific presidency of Donald Trump's, he feels the need to curtail the BLS's ability to gather that information during government shutdowns. I wonder why that's the case for this presidency rather than oh, wait, it's because the Bureau of Labor Statistics was one of the best organizations at demonstrating that Trump's claims of job growth during his first term were a load of bullshit. Maybe that's the reason why he's doing that now compared to his first term. I don't know. It's crazy. And released its employment situation report as normal. In fact, this is the first time in 12 years that a jobs report was delayed, and the first time a month of household data will be missed completely. The first time in American history, by the way, that a month will be missed completely. So, you know, maybe the excuse that you'll hear will be that, oh, well, right now things are really bad. You know, there's a lot of chaos going on right now. You got to understand that, you know, things are different. They were able to get information for September and October of 2001, you know, in the midst and aftermath of 9/11. For some reason, when the administration was in that much of a tailspin, they were able to gather that information. But now, all of a sudden, we're just expected to just go, oh, yeah, no big deal. Who cares? Federal statistical agencies, FSAs like BLS and the Census Bureau, provide the gold standard data that are crucial for understanding the labor market. The monthly jobs report provides policymakers, businesses, and the public with the most rigorous and timely labor market data they need to make high-stakes decisions. Unfortunately, without a timely release, the Federal Reserve will meet next week without the best data on the state of the labor market. That's definitely, you know, no matter how you view things, I'm sure that the Federal Reserve meeting without that data is going to have a good outcome for the American people. I'm sure we can agree that the administration dropping the ball so hard that back in October we'll just never get access to that data ever again. You know, I'm sure that that's just bog standard, right? Who cares? Just another time that's oh, wait, it's literally never happened prior to this ever before. Weird. This is not the first time the Trump administration has sought to weaken FSAs. In August, Trump fired the BLS commissioner for accurately reporting data that the administration found politically inconvenient. Which, by the way, yet another thing where there are people out there I've heard that are like, oh, I'm on the right, but I'm pro-union, and I'm also pro-Trump. And it's like, okay, well, when the head of the BLA gets dismissed by the president because they publish information that's inconvenient to your administration, do you really think that that's being a friend to the working man? Do you really think that that's having the best interests of the average American worker at heart? I don't think so. Last I checked, that wasn't the case. There are clear, these are clear. Oh, sorry. That's actually a little bit ahead. Amid these historically unprecedented threats, we assessed a new data accountability dashboard that tracks next best data from other non-federal data sources, including ADP employment data, which, by the way, ADP is a huge employment aggregator in the United States and Canada. There's actually been jobs that I've personally worked that have been done through ADP with their payroll. So it's a huge platform as far as how well it tracks these sorts of things. And it does admit in the article that it's not going to be as good as the jobs report, but this is the next best thing that we have information about, right? So let's actually kind of take a look at this. On Wednesday, ADP's monthly national employment report showed a loss of 32,000 jobs in the private sector in November. Our dashboard uses a 3-month moving average to remove some volatility, and in making this adjustment, tracks BLS private sector employment a bit more closely. As shown in Figure A below, ADP employment has dipped below zero for the first time since the pandemic. BLS data available only through September shows a similar slowdown. It is possible that Trump administration attacks on immigrant communities have sharply reduced labor supply and driven some of the radical slowdown in job growth. However, even with reduced immigration, the United States economy still needs non-zero job growth to keep the labor market from deteriorating. I'll be looking closely at the official data from October and November released on December 16th to see if they reflect the trends shown here. So we see ADP employment tracks BLS private sector payrolls. And we can see from this graph that indeed, coming into 2026 here at the very end of 2025, we're hitting a negative. And it's not exactly like the trend leading up to that is looking all that great either. We do have a bit of an uptick here. Okay, so let's look at around where Trump was inaugurated, right? Let's look at about January 2024. So we're right here. And there's a period where, okay, it hits a decline, then it goes up, but then it hits a really big decline. Like a really big decline. And that's basically where we're at right now. For reference, it's a little bit outdated by a few months, but what the hell is Aiden even talking about? You know what, BS? I'll tell you what, you can ask what I'm talking about on your own stream because you're getting thrown out, bitch. Have a good one. No, I'm just joking. I'm not actually going to do that. I'm not actually going to do that. On December 9th, the BLS released data from September and October for the Job Openings and Labor Turnover Survey, JOLTS. Currently, the latest JOLTS data are only available through August. Data from Indeed on job postings, which is Figure B, which I'll be showing in a moment, and data from Challenger on job cuts, Figure C, provides some insights into job openings and layoffs, given the current lack of gold standard data, right? So we have job postings from Indeed, track job openings from BLS, JOLTS. We see Indeed job postings and JOLTS job openings indexed to February 2020. And we can see from February 2020, there's a rise, but in 2024, we can see that much like the other graph, we see a little bit of a rise here, but then we see a bit of a fall. Now, it is actually starting to uptick here at the very end here, November 1st of 2025. And which one is that? New job postings on Indeed. So that is the total number, and that goes from a rise of, let's see, I can't actually look at the previous one. I can only look at, let me look. There we go. So it goes from 0.996 to 1.0672. And that's the index of October of 2020. So that's comparison between that and October of 2020. So that would be actually a slight growth from October of 2020 for that particular chart. And the announced job cuts from Challenger, Gray, and Christmas have risen sharply in the last 3 recessions. as shown with this particular graph, but I'll just read the last little blurb here. We'll get into the last little bit. Once the official FSA data are released and hopefully return to a normal schedule, that didn't happen. It didn't happen at all. Our data accountability dashboard will still be useful to make those gold standard data. We'll make sure those gold standard data are not being compromised either because of staffing shortages or for political gain. The first and best line of defense against data manipulation, escaping public notice, will be whistleblowers from FSAs who are dedicated professionals and who will not want it degraded. But if data are being manipulated for whistleblowers emerge, the dashboard can provide useful data accountability checks. For more next best data, check out the entire dashboard for all 9 markets we're tracking as new data becomes available. Okay, wait. So this is a different one. Job postings from Indeed track job openings. Yeah, we saw that one earlier. Okay. So it seems like it was going up and then it kind of leveled off and now is starting to decline again in January. So this is a little bit more modern data. That's a bit more up to date than that particular article, which is good. This is the ADP employment. Let's see what it's at right now. So it was at negative 3.7 and is now at 19.7. Okay. So we'll see. Honestly, it really just depends on whether or not the jobs are actually making a recovery. Because that was the claim that was made in the article that I read earlier, right? Was that there was going to be job growth listed on the jobs report. And I'll tell you what, if the jobs report comes out and it is shown that there is job growth in America, then I'll come and cover that on my show and we'll take a look at that. I don't have a problem with that. I'm just trying to take a look at the next best data that we have available to us right now that'll kind of give us some information about it. Hold on. I can't see it. All I see is person turquoise writing headphones. That's all I can see. I want to see that emoji now, though. That's some like forbidden emoji that I can't see. Make BS a moderator. He's good people. Yeah. All right. I guess I'll make BS a moderator on the channel. I guess. Everybody's going to be a moderator soon. Give it to BS. The next thing you know, the whole neighborhood's a moderator. It's going to be like missing mods chat. The entire thing is just going to be blue because everybody on the whole fucking thing is a moderator. People hate jobs. Oh, I hate jobs. Working sucks, but that's kind of always been the case, hasn't it? Alrighty, so I have just one more thing that I want to cover, and then I'm probably going to do a really brief open panel. It's not going to be nearly as long as my other open panels. This has been a bit more of a closed off show compared to my other ones. A bit more of a segregated show, you might even say, compared to the other ones. But I'll have a little bit of one at the end. I just wanted to cover something that I saw because I saw this and was going to cover it. But then some more information came out about it. And I don't know if I can play the whole thing in order not to get copyright struck. But I think the very beginning of it summarizes it pretty adequately. So let's get that up really quick. So I saw this and I was like, oh, this is going to be some good content fodder.
Elon Musk was too annoying for Epstein Island. Apparently he heard about the parties and emailed Epstein and was like, hey, can I come? Girls for the win. And Epstein forwarded it to his assistant and was like, deal with this. So she emailed Elon back and was like, oh, sorry, we aren't throwing those anymore. He had enough money, but the vibes were so bad.
Like, I wasn't going to cover this specific video, mind you, as like, oh, late breaking news, woman on Facebook talks about issue. But like, that's where I first saw it. Right? And I was like, okay, let me do some looking into that. Right? Because it's probably good to do a little bit of due diligence when it comes to looking into that kind of shit. And I found this. This says, fact check. Elon Musk's emails with Jeffrey Epstein do not show that he, quote, rejected Epstein's invitation to his island, end quote. So, do emails exchanged between Elon Musk and Jeffrey Epstein and made public in January 2026 show that Musk rejected Epstein's invitation to his private island? No, that's not true. Emails show Musk and Epstein planned holiday visits at the end of 2012 and 2013, but their schedules eventually did not align. Both men seemed eager to meet up on Epstein's now infamous Little St. James Island in the U.S. Virgin Islands. It was Epstein, not Musk, who canceled the second visit. The claim appeared in a post archived here, shared by Mario Naufal X account on February 1st, 2026. It included a screenshot of a fake email that Lead Stories had debunked, along with the text, a viral image claiming to show an email thread between Elon Musk and Jeffrey Epstein about an epic island vacation is completely fabricated. No email containing those phrases appears anywhere in the released Epstein files. Searches for epic island vacation and Thanu, a typo in the fake email, returned 0 results in the official documents. Elon's name does appear in the real files, but only in emails showing that he rejected Epstein's invitation to his island. Fabricating evidence to smear one of the most vocal people pushing for full release of the Epstein files is pretty telling. Well, perhaps I would do a little bit of disagreement about that last part, but I would just say that it is important when we're covering things like this that we don't just jump to conclusions just because it sounds good, right? It's important to do a little bit of due diligence. It's important to look into things. And fairly often, when you look into things like that, you will find that it is in fact the case that sometimes things are overblown, or even in this case, just kind of fabricated outright. And you know, if you want to call me a partisan channel who just wants to push one particular worldview, then I'm pretty sure that I would have left this out and would have put it on the cutting room floor because it doesn't really, quote unquote, make my side look good or whatever the fuck. But that's not really what it's about over here, right? I'm just trying to cover shit the way that I see it appropriate to be covered. And by the way, if I ever cover anything and it's wrong, and you've got information showing that it's wrong, please tell me about it. Shoot me a link in private messaging or something like that, and I'll come and do a retraction about it on my show, because I don't have any problem admitting when I'm wrong about something. If I'm fucking wrong about something, then I'm wrong about it. That's just the truth of the matter. Left-wing Lyndon. That's right. That's right. Left-wing Lyndon. Sounds pretty cool, actually. But in any case, with that out of the way, I did want to show the thing that I was going to show earlier. And don't worry, Terry, you're not going to have to be held to any serious standards because you didn't want to be held to them when I asked you what you meant by criminal behavior. You know, seems like a pretty simple question to answer, but whatever. I'll still show it. Let me pull that. Nope, that's not the right thing. Here it is. Thank you for your patience, ladies and gentlemen. So, we are just going to zoom in just a little bit here. So, we see 50D NY 3027571 serial 609 unclassified Federal Bureau of Investigation intake dated I believe that would be June 21st, 2021 for Epstein, Jeffrey, child sex trafficking. Date, time received, June 21st, 2021, 4:07. On June 21st, 2021 at 4:07 p.m., redacted, date of birth, redacted, called FBI National Threat Operations Center, NTOC, to report Donald Trump knew and funded underage sex parties at the Donald Trump golf course. Redacted provided the following information. Redacted was recently interviewed by an FBI agent. However, he felt triggered as a victim and did not report all of the information. Redacted had recordings of Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein, and Ghislaine Maxwell discussing marketing strategies for high-profile sex parties at the Donald Trump golf course. However, Redacted mailed the recordings to a lawyer in the Cayman Islands. Redacted was part of the Sinaloa cartel and worked closely with Epstein and Maxwell. However, he was able to walk away from the cartel due to his status with Epstein and Maxwell. In the recordings, Trump stated that he was aware of the underage sex parties and charged the house money of the golf course to fund the sex parties. Redacted witnessed Robin Leach strangle a young girl during a sex party. He claims she is buried behind the 19th hole at the Donald Trump golf course. Redacted is aware of 3 separate occasions in which girls were murdered and buried there. Redacted was told if he spoke about the incident he witnessed, he would end up in the hole as well. Redacted gave Maxwell the idea to put cameras in at the golf course to review the cartel members and understand how to market the 12 to 14-year-old victims to the cartel. So, here we go. There we go. There's the thing. That's pretty criminal activity, if you ask me. Trafficking 12 to 14-year-old girls to the Sinaloa cartel. Yeah, that seems pretty criminal, if you ask me. But hey, I was asked earlier where he is in the files doing criminal shit, and here we go. Let's just wait for that reply, because I'm not going to hold you to a serious account, but I am curious to what you have to say to that little tidbit of information, Terry. Just waiting. Do 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 wah 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 wah. I'm not gonna do this bit anymore. No, you had your chance. You had your chance. The rumored All-American Hotline show by Turning Point USA is confirmed, focusing on faith, family, and freedom. Kid Rock headlines February 8th with country stars Brantley Gilbert and Lee Brice. Trump. Wait, are you doing advertising now for Kid Rock, Big Bad Mama? Is that, hey everybody, come check out the Kid Rock concert? You know that guy that said that he wasn't going to drink Bud Light anymore because it was woke and shot a bunch of Bud Light only to be photographed like a month later drinking Bud Light? Hell yeah, go support that guy. Shit. There's also pretty funny things in the files as well, though. Like, I got to admit, there's a lot of horrible, awful fucking shit. Wow, Terry got fucking deafeningly quiet, by the way, in the side chat. Just gonna put that out there. I've been waiting for a hot minute for her to say something in the side chat, and the silence is simply deafening, ladies and gentlemen. But that being said, there's some outside of the pretty horrible, awful. I just think it's funny how lame it is. Fair enough, Big Bad Mama. Fair enough. For all the horrible, awful things that are in the Epstein files, there's also some pretty funny things in there as well. Such as this. We've got from Nicholas Ribs, sent Wednesday, August 29th, 2018. Who did he send it to? Jeffrey Epstein. Subject. Donald Trump only lasted 2 minutes during sex, says Stormy Daniels. And the thing that I found most entertaining was the alliteration at the very end here. Says, POTUS Stormy Daniels says Donald Trump only lasted 2 minutes inside her pornographic pleasure pocket. That's some fun alliteration at the very end of that. That's some fun alliteration. But it's all a Democrat hoax, Aiden. I know. It's all a Democrat hoax until it actually comes out and you show that it's not, and you show the information and you show where you can find it in the files. And then all of a sudden it's all quiet on the Western Front in Terry Strangeland for some reason. This is really stupid. I'm triggered right now. My name's Missing Mod, and we're talking about things I don't want you to talk about, so it's stupid. Yeah, you guys. I know, she does that all the time, Pixie. She does the whole you guys generalization all the time. But whatever, it is what it is. All right, next thing. Which, by the way, guys, hope you've been enjoying the stream. It seems like you have been enjoying the stream. We've got 19 fucking likes on the stream right now. Hell yeah, ladies and gentlemen. Really appreciate it. I'm gonna put my next thing up here. This is I might not even do an open panel. I might only have time for like a quick 10 or 15 minute one. I've got to be honest, because I got to work in about an hour and a half, but I got a couple more things to cover. You see here, text messages and a moved SUV. How the government's case against a Chicago woman shot by a Border Patrol agent fell apart. This is by the Clinton News Network. Even with a federal indictment hanging over her, claiming that she had been a threat to law enforcement, Marimar Martinez was confident that she could eventually prove her innocence. I know the truth, Martinez told CNN Friday in an exclusive interview. I know what really happened that day. After an extraordinary reversal by federal prosecutors in one of the most high-profile cases connected to Operation Midway Blitz in Chicago, a judge dismissed charges Thursday against Martinez, a United States citizen, who is accused of ramming the vehicle of a Customs and Border Protection agent in Chicago before he shot her several times. The ruling from U.S. District Judge Georgia Alexakis came after she repeatedly raised concerns about the handling of the investigation, including the revelation the vehicle of a Border Patrol agent who shot Martinez was moved 1,000 miles away after the incident, and text messages showing the agent apparently bragging about the shooting. Martinez had been accused of quote-unquote aggressively and erratically pursuing CBP agent Charles Exum and hitting his car on October 4th, silly me, as protests against the Trump administration immigration crackdown took place in the city. The charging complaint says Exum then stepped out of his vehicle and fired his weapon 5 times at Martinez. Shots the Department of Homeland Security called defensive, quote unquote. Martinez had pleaded not guilty to a federal charge of assaulting, resisting, or impeding federal officers. Inside the courtroom, the judge noted that the government's case included omissions that caused her to tread carefully, as Martinez's defense attorney alleged it was actually the agent who sideswiped Martinez. Outside the courtroom, the high-profile case garnered public scrutiny. Defense attorney Christopher Parente, himself former federal prosecutor, believes a rush by the Trump administration to have a meme-ready example of dangerous protest activity forced the U.S. Attorney's Office to push a weak case too far. Quote, she never would have been charged under the old system because they would have found out right away that this case is garbage, Parente told CNN. The judge's decision came hours after federal prosecutors filed a motion to dismiss the charges against both Martinez and her co-defendant, Anthony Ruiz. The U.S. Attorney's Office is, quote, constantly evaluating new facts and information relating to cases and investigations arising out of Operation Midway Blitz, spokesman Joseph Fitzpatrick said. Oh, it came off my screen there for a second. There we go. Got it back. Parente commended the Trump-appointed U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Illinois, Andrew Bortas, for not moving forward with the case, despite what was likely enormous pressure. That took incredible guts, Parente said. Legal experts told CNN the move was likely the result of a series of questionable claims from the federal government in court. Questionable claims from the federal government in court? What? You mean to tell me that the perfect, amazing, non-bespotted Lamb of God that is the United States federal government wasn't truthful? Heaven fucking forbid that, am I right? Questionable claims from the federal government in court and a calculation over whether it could be proven at a trial that the gunshots were justified. Ultimately, there was a determination when everything was evaluated that there was a serious question about the officers' narratives, CNN legal analyst Joey Jackson said. So apparent bragging text messages provide insight. And you know what? I'm going to cover that, but I'm actually going to cover that in this video because I feel like this video actually does more justice to the victim of this case because, make no mistake, she is a victim. She was shot 5 times by a border agent as a United States citizen and was then bragging about the shooting of that person over text after the event took place. Let's see what he said and see whether or not it can be defended by the bootlickers that are living out in the side chat who are too triggered to actually evaluate reality for what it really is. Let's see.
American citizen. Is that right?
Correct.
I'm so sorry, Ms. Martinez. DHS has allowed the agent who shot you to remove evidence and to potentially destroy it. Is that correct?
Correct.
Oh, is that the right one? It was supposed to be 1 minute and 8 seconds. What happened?
It's disgusting, shameful, and it gets worse. Ms. Martinez, these are images of text
Here we go.
sent by the agent who shot you. And they're actually disturbing to read, but I think it's important for the public to see this. The agent linked an article about your shooting and texted, read it. 5 shots, 7 holes. I fired 5 rounds and she had 7 holes. Put that in your book, boys. Oh, well, it is what it is. Shit happens. This is someone that works for the United States government. I fired 5 rounds and she had 7 holes. Now, he was talking about you, and it's our understanding that he was actually bragging about his aim shooting an unarmed American citizen. Is that right?
Correct.
I'm so sorry, Ms. Martinez. DHS has allowed the agent who shot you to remove evidence and to potentially destroy it. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. So let's get into the article again now that I've played that. Because I want to finish that one. There it is. text messages displayed in court earlier this month were likely key in the prosecution's decision to move to dismiss charges, experts said. Exum appeared to brag to fellow agents about his marksmanship after he repeatedly shot Martinez following a collision between their vehicles, the messages revealed. Boasting about the shots would look bad to a jury, Jackson said. No fucking shit, hey? Maybe, just maybe, if you're a federal agent of the United States and you're bragging about how well you fucking drilled a bunch of holes into a United States citizen, and oh well, shit happens, right? Yeah, maybe if you fucking brag about that shit, maybe that'll make the fucking trial look a little bit bad, but who fucking cares, right? Who the fuck gives a shit? When you're somebody that has as little training as these fucking people, they don't fucking know that that's going to be a poison pill. It's not even a fucking poison pill. It's a poison blade that's shoved into the fucking heart of the trial that completely throws out any credibility on their end whatsoever. But do they fucking care? No, of course they don't fucking care. What they care about is the fucking, oh, I could brag about how well I fucking shot somebody. Look at me. I'm going to fucking use the same kind of language that a fucking hunter would use for a fucking deer that they bagged. For fucking shooting a person. For shooting a person who literally, they at first charged for having fucking hit his vehicle. But oh, whoopsie daisy, turns out that it's actually more likely that he hit her when it actually came to trial. And it became so obvious that it was unjustified that the government themselves dropped the fucking case. Do you understand how fucking open and shut a case has to be if an entity as powerful as the federal fucking government drops the case? Do you understand how fucking black and white that shit has to be? For them to go, oh shit, we may have more resources and power and lawyers available to us than literally anybody else on the planet, but even we aren't going to be able to make this case stick. But no, let's hear about the fucking justification for this shit now. Let's hear about the whataboutisms. Let's hear all the fucking bullshit trying to excuse this. Because the more and more that shit like this fucking happens, the more frequently that these things become just everyday fucking common fucking cultural zeitgeist bullshit, the more and more that people just shrug their shoulders and act like it's something akin to normalcy. When it's not. It's fucking not. It never has been. And any of you people acting like, oh, you should just stay home. You should just fucking shrug your shoulders and act like it's no big deal. Let me just go to the voting booth and try to vote out a government that's actively trying to take away my fucking civil liberties. I'm sure that'll fucking work. Give me a break. It's a bunch of bullshit. You're being a woman. Yeah. When Martin Luther King went and made his eye, and I'm not trying to compare myself directly to him, by the way. Let me just get out in front of that accusation. I'm making a commentary about masculinity in general right now. When Martin Luther King made his I had a dream speech, Missing Ma, did he go, I had a dream, I guess, that content of a person's character might be judged based on that rather than their race? No, he was fucking passionate about it. He was passionate about it, he was vocal about it, and he made sure that other people were aware that he saw injustice in his time, right? And now I'm sure as shit no fucking Martin Luther King Jr. I'm not as eloquent. I don't have the fucking acumen, academically or otherwise, that he had. But the point stands. The idea that you're a woman because you raise your voice and you get frustrated over the abject injustice that you see around you is such fucking bullshit. All that it is a feeble attempt to try and dismiss someone's opinion without actually dealing with their argument. That's all that it is. It's a bullshit sideswipe argument that's made in bad faith. Nothing to actually address what I'm saying right now. Nothing to actually address the content of what I'm saying. It's literally nothing but a bunch of fucking pearl clutching. Oh, you should just stay home. And then when that doesn't work, then you got to resort to that rather than an actual fucking argument. He also had a point, Aiden. That's the thing that you lack here. You have no point. It's all emotion and bullshit. No, it's not, Dustin. The injustice that happened to this woman is not emotion. Do you, okay, you know what, Dustin? Answer me this fucking question right now in the side chat then. Do you think it's justified that an American citizen was shot 5 times and the person who shot them, which by the way, last time I checked, shooting somebody 5 times isn't exactly trying to keep that person alive. I somehow highly doubt that they shot them 5 times because, oh, we just want to stop them and make sure we can apprehend them. They tried to fucking murder this woman and failed. And because that person failed, they still ended up going on their phone and bragging about it to their fucking buddy. And that's just emotional bullshit. No, it's not, Dustin. It's abject fucking injustice. And the fact that you're going to try to dismiss that by just calling it bullshit is itself a load of bullshit. Which question am I supposed to answer, Aiden? You're supposed to answer, is it justified that this woman was fucking shot 5 times and then had that shooting bragged about by the person who shot them? Is that justified? Is that justifiable? Because last I fucking checked, the goddamn government itself found that to be unjustifiable. That's why they dropped the fucking case. Open the panel. I'm not going to argue with you this way. You know what, Dustin? I don't want to be shouted over in the last little bit of time that I have here before I have to go to work. I don't fucking feel like operating that way. All right? So if you want to make your point, make it in the side chat. You're more than capable of doing so. You've got talk to text. You can say it. It's not like I'm even taking you away from your work if you've got talk to text. Just fucking say it into the mic and put it out there in the side chat, and I'll read it. And I'll tell you what, that even gives you a better platform because I can't even conflate your words at that point. You always make that argument, don't you? You're the one always acting like I'm conflating your words and misrepresenting your words and doing all these things that are dishonestly about your words. Well, if that's the case, then make them known in the side chat, and I won't have the ability to do that, will I? I don't know, Aiden. I don't know all the facts. You can lay out your case, and you're supposed to make me believe that what you have all the facts, not buying it. Dustin, the facts were laid out in federal court, and the federal government dropped the case. Those are the facts. The facts are what you're seeing right now with your fucking eyes. Look at this shit. Look at it. He links the article, and then he talks about this shit in a way that people are, hold on, open image and new tab. Let's get a good zoom in on this shit. Let's get a really good zoom in just so that you can see it without any shadow of a doubt what he's saying here. All right? Want to go over the fucking facts? Let's go over the facts. The fact of the matter is that he fucking linked what happened. He said, read it. 5 shots, 7 holes. I have an MOF amendment to add to my story. I fired 5 rounds and she had 7 holes. Put that in your book, boys. Well, it is what it is. That's what he fucking said, Dustin. Those are the facts. He fucking bragged about gunning this woman down. And at the end of the day, the only thing that he failed at in his mind, I'm sure, and now you can say this part is fucking conjecture, because it is, but I'm sure the only fucking thing that he felt bad about was that she didn't fucking die. Because he very clearly had the intent to murder her. As I said before, Dustin, any reasonable person, you shoot 5 fucking bullets into somebody, you're not expecting that person to survive. All right? That's the truth of the matter. If we're really going to talk about truth, if we're really going to talk about getting into the facts, maybe there's a reason that you and I are not privy of. Maybe there's a reason that you and I are not privy of. See, this is what I'm fucking talking about, Dustin. The endless excuse making. Endless fucking excuse making. From you, from Missing Mod, from fucking so many people in this community. All right? You guys will endlessly come up with reasons, no matter how fucking egregious these things are. You will endlessly come up with excuses for these people and for their actions. Maybe there's something we don't even know about, Aiden. Yeah, I'm sure that would hold up well in court, right, Dustin? If there was something we weren't privy to, then the federal government would have pursued the charges, Dustin. The fact of the matter is that the charges were dropped. Those are the facts. All right? Bro, this is horseshit. You're completely misinformed at the very least and completely emotionally compromised at the most. Cool story, Dustin. Now deal with the fucking argument. Cool story. Way to fucking say an entire sentence without actually addressing my argument a fucking whit. How am I misinformed, Dustin? This is the exact same criticism I had towards Lupin, and I'd be dishonest if I didn't levy it at you, Dustin. You're making all these criticisms at me right now, but you're not actually saying anything specific. I'm completely misinformed. What am I misinformed about? I'm emotionally compromised. How am I emotionally compromised? Compromised about what? And in what way is that supposed compromise that's taking place affecting my judgment to the point where what I'm saying right now is abjectly untrue? Deal with what I'm actually saying. I got a dismissal? What do you mean? What do you mean you got a dismissal? And thank God they were, because Trump needs to get the illegal. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. Fuck what we're actually talking about. Let's just go talk about something completely different, right, Dustin? Give me a break. Give me a fucking break. This is the problem, right? Is that no matter how abjectly bad it gets, you never actually stand up and do something. Oh, I'm such a woman because what? I recognize this horrible shit for what it is and try to get you to see it for what it is, Mod. That's being a woman. No, you know what being a woman is, Mod? Being a woman is what you're advocating for. Being a woman, in your model of being a woman, is sitting at home and not doing anything or saying anything and just, oh, I'll just wait until I can leave and go over to the ballot box and then vote there. I'm sure that would have worked for the civil rights movement, right, Mod? I'm sure that would have worked in the fucking 1860s for the fucking freeing of the slaves. I'm sure if they just went to the fucking ballot box about it. Oh, wait, they tried doing that several times. And that's what drove the country to fucking war in the first place, was the fact that peaceful fucking solutions were attempted and every peaceful alternative was exhausted. That's what happened. And you think that we're not in an analogous time for that right now? Do you really think if every single time these things happen, right? People like Alex Preddy that are on the side of the fucking road get disarmed and murdered. Do you think that when people see that they're going to become more or less agitated with their government, Mod? Do you think when people see that they're going to become more or less disenfranchised with the authority figures that are ostensibly there to keep them safe, gunning down fellow citizens, attempting to gun down this citizen in this instance? But hey, who fucking cares because illegal immigrants, right? Fuck off. Fuck off. You're crying. That's what you're saying. You want your way and you're bitching and you're pointing to these cases, making an You see? You see? Once again, you're saying that I'm pointing to these cases, but you're not actually confronting the specifics of the cases. You're just going, oh, you're pointing to these cases and getting angry. Yeah, I'm getting angry, Dustin. Of course I'm going to fucking get angry. The fact that you don't is baffling to me. The fact that you somehow find a way to just shrug your shoulders and act like it's somehow just fucking hunky-dory, that this is the way that things are going, is goddamn baffling to me, Dustin. It really is. I'm starting to think Aiden is a Canadian plant. Shut the fuck up! Shut up, P.S. Lewis. I told you not to fucking talk about that. Aiden, I wasn't called to be a juror on these cases. I don't care what their particular ins and outs are. If Trump if it was Trump, you wouldn't question the verdict as long as it was guilty. Once again, what if? Oh, if Trump was on the stand right now, you just think he was guilty. First of all, no. I think that he'd fucking be given a fucking right to a trial. Just like fucking Renee Good should have been given a right to a trial. Just like how Alex Preddy should have been given a right to a trial. Right? Oh, wait, no. They weren't supposed to have a right to a trial. Because they're agitators. Fuck off. Seriously. All this bullshit. You don't care about the particular ins and outs? Well, if you don't care about the particular ins and outs, then what you're telling me is that you don't actually care about what I'm saying right now. You just fucking don't like the fact that I'm calling out the fucking people that you ascribe to right now. That's what that tells me. You don't buy it? Well, that's fine, Dustin, because I'm not necessarily selling to you. All right? I'd like it if you became convinced of these things. I'd like it if you actually opened your damn eyes and saw this shit for what it was. But I'm not just talking to you either. I'm talking to the audience in general. And I've given you an opportunity to lay out your point. And your sum total criticism of my arguments has been goose egg. Goose egg. It's been nada. It's been nothing. So I'm actually glad that you were able to voice these in the side chat. Not because I'm not going to give you opportunities in the future to come into the room and make your case. But because, for fuck's sake, I'm so sick and tired of the constant over-talking and over-yelling that constantly takes place. Okay? I really am. All right. I might... Everyone left. It's true. Everyone did leave. And that's fine. I think the stream was kind of reaching a natural conclusion point anyway. So, I think I'll probably close it down now. I want to have a bite to eat before I have to work anyway. So, got to work at 3. Dustin, bring up my comment in full context, Braden. Bring it up in full. What do you mean in full context? Let me tell you what. I'll fucking delete. Or not delete. Silly me. I'll delay ending my show if you tell me what I missed. I'll literally go back. Hold on. Aiden, I wasn't called to be a juror in these cases. I don't care about their particular ins and outs. If it was Trump, you wouldn't question the verdict as long as it was guilty. Get off my case. Aiden, none of these problems are ever going to be laid at Trump's. Never going to be late at Trump's speech. Never. They're going to be late at Trump's feet. Oh, I think you mean laid at Trump's feet. Never. They're going to be laid at Trump's feet while you're screaming into the wind. I could care less, if anything. Well, Dustin, you do care because you're sitting here right now in the side chat talking to me about it. So come on, dude. Don't act like you don't care. Don't give me that whole gambit that you don't care, dude. Because I know that you care. You care enough to have this dialogue with me right now. You've been engaging with me on it for a minute now. So come on. Come on. Don't hit me with that bullshit. I'm still waiting for you to give me what context I'm supposed to read, by the way, specifically because I don't want to treat you dishonestly. If I'm supposed to bring something up that I haven't already brought up, by the way, the 9 people that are watching right now, if you did enjoy the stream, please give the stream a like. Please subscribe to the channel. That'd be greatly appreciated. I had a pretty good time here today. I think that being the only show that isn't open panel so far, it went pretty decent. I will do an open panel on one of these shows, probably next show. It's on how things work out. But bro, you are could hardly be considered a level-headed, reasonable juror. You're not someone I'm coming to about guilty and innocent verdict because you've never been on trial as a juror. Well, I mean, first and foremost, while that is true, you didn't know that about me, Dustin. You've never asked whether or not I'm a juror or not, or have been one. So, like, the fact that you just assume that right off the bat is just kind of silly. Like, for all you know, I could have been on a jury at some point in time and done jury duty. So, like, don't just go around assuming things like that. I would appreciate it if you would ask before you just go in and immediately assume. I don't care about your emotional pleas. You're over here trying to convict a man based off of your emotion. No, I'm trying to convict a man based off of the fact that the federal government themselves dropped the case and dropped it due to the evidence that surfaced due to that case. Some of that evidence being right in front of you. It doesn't take emotion to find that this is compromising to the case, Dustin, and the best evidence for why it doesn't take emotion to find that compromising to the case is the fact that a courtroom is a place where emotion is as divorced from the proceedings as humanly possible, and they, the federal government, who have access to more resources in that context than anybody else on the planet, decided that they were going to drop the case because of that evidence. So acting like I'm solely operating based on an emotional basis is just dishonest. Because if I was just acting on an emotional basis, that would constitute me having heard about it from somebody else and then talking about it based off of hearsay. See, this is one of the reasons why I get frustrated with you, Dustin, is because if I had done that, if I had just heard that from somebody, and then just ran to the presses and came on this live stream and started screaming into the mic about shit apropos of nothing, then your criticism I would accept all day long, because that would just be an emotional rant that doesn't have anything behind it. But when the things that I have supporting my argument are right in front of your eyes, and you're not even willing to acknowledge their existence, I can't help but imagine that on a certain level, you're being dishonest in this dialogue. You're being dishonest in this discourse. And I don't even think that you're doing it intentionally. I don't think that you're like trying to do it from some malfeasance. But come on, dude. The actual grounding, one of the major pieces of grounding for why I've been engaging with you in such a quote unquote emotional fashion is right in front of your fucking face. It's right there. And here you are acting like I just got on here apropos of nothing with nothing to say except what my feelings have to say about it. It's bullshit. Case deserves pushback when you are laying out as a grand jury in, I'm assuming, indictment, where the defense has nothing to say. The defense had every opportunity. And by the way, the defense in this case isn't the agent. It isn't the Border Patrol agent. The defense is the woman who was shot 5 times. She was brought to court and prosecuted over the idea that she was trying to hit the agent's vehicle, and that got thrown out of federal court, Dustin, because it was found not to be true and lacking any form of evidence behind it. So if you want to talk about an appeal based on a lack of evidence, if you want to talk about an appeal based on a lack of any hard information, that's actually coming from you, because upon hearing my case that does have actual backing to it, you've done nothing but say things that are just tantamount to emotional arguments. Oh, you're pissed off right now. It's an emotional claim. It doesn't have any grounding in reality if you don't have any specifics to bring up behind it. You yourself are engaging in the exact thing that you're accusing me of doing. This is all emotional pleading. This is what I'm talking about. No matter how clearly I can try to lay it out to you, you're just going to repeat the same thing. It's like talking to a fucking brick wall. It's 100% honest, Aiden. I would make that case in court all day. You're operating from a place of emotion and not logic. Well, I bet you that would hold up about as well as the federal government's case held up against this woman, Dustin. Oh, wait, it got dropped. Huh. Funny how that fucking works, huh? You have zero firsthand experience and connection to any of these cases. I mean, neither do you, Dustin, but you're just as willing to try and dismiss my argument. You're trying to dismiss my argument off of just as much experience with this case as I do. I don't even know. How's that a valid argument? Oh, you don't have a lot of experience based on this case. Well, for somebody that has such a strong opinion about this as you do right now, Dustin, It seems like I can literally just turn that argument back around on you. You don't have any fucking experience directly adjacent to this case. So why do you have such a goddamn strong opinion about it? To the point where we're just hashing this out over the course of like fucking half an hour at this point. Interested in having my emotions played with somebody who doesn't and can't, isn't qualified to tell me anything about them. Okay, Dustin. You only have the parts that you think are relevant, Aiden. No, that's not true. When it came to Renee Good and when it came to Alex Preddy, I tried to show things from multiple angles and multiple perspectives. I tried to show background about those people's lives. I tried to get into as much external information, trying to show the context of what happened with those things as possible. Now, with this particular case, I could definitely do a little bit more digging into it to show the broader context, but the idea that I don't do that with any of these cases is also itself a dishonest representation. The defense between you and I have only your side will not allow for a defense. You're just lambasting me for my comments in the side chat, which is retarded. You're not going to allow me to... Hi, Josh. Welcome to the side chat. I'm going to let you... I'll tell you what, Dustin. Closing remarks, all right? Closing remarks. Aiden, you are the narrative of your own story, and in that story, you are a legend. You are a legend unto yourself, my friend. Nobody else is buying your horse shit. I'll tell you what, dude. For somebody as self-effacing as me, who constantly makes... detrimental remarks towards myself and constantly lambasts my own behavior and my incompetence at things, I think you've kind of found the wrong person to direct that towards. I'm not going to act like I'm the most humble person on the planet, because obviously I'm not. I'm not some Byzantine monk sitting on Mount Athos all day long, right? But like, have you ever really known me to be super braggadocious, Dustin? Once again, this is the definition of an emotional argument right here. This is the definition. Oh, you're a legend to yourself, and it's a bunch of horse shit. That's literally the definition of an emotional argument right there. But I guess it's okay when Dustin makes emotional arguments. Strange how that works. No, I'm reserving judgment, Aiden. You have a verdict in mind before you've even seen any of the real evidence. You see what's on TV and you make your own conclusion. Dustin, if that's your representation of what I've done here, then there's literally no combination of nouns, verbs, and adjectives that I can throw your way that can convince you otherwise, because I've literally done the exact opposite of what you've just described, as far as trying to show you information from multiple different sources, as far as always being open to different people's sources being included into the conversation. There's literally nothing I can say at that point. And you yourself have expressed things of that similar nature, that no matter what is said to you about certain topics, you're just going to keep to them. So I suppose I'm just kind of wasting my breath right now, aren't I? I hope BS is here. BS had better be here, because I'm about to play my grandpa's intro. And if he's not here for it, I'm going to be triggered, because I'm about to end the show. Thank you, everybody that has been here for the stream. Much appreciated. If you enjoyed the stream, please be sure to like. Please be sure to subscribe. And take care, everybody.